You can support this show at patreon.com/ASA podcasting.
Bing, bang, boom.
The wasteland is a host of apocalyptic mess as the sole survivor wanders out about to see the rest. Nuclear explosions sending out the gamma rays from deep within the core, frozen atomic waves. From deep within the core, frozen atomic waves.
Hello and welcome to the 413th edition of the Fallout Feed. I am Andrew, joined by a flock of my favorite Fallout folks. Tonight we have Ray. What's up, Ray?
Hello, hello.
And Jess. What's up, Jess?
Hey, Andrew. Greets, everybody.
We are the show who compares and contrasts Fallout experiences through a lively roundtable discussion by playing through the same quest with characters who've been randomly assigned drastically different attributes. Boom! I just needed to talk it through myself.
And there was much rejoicing, Andrew.
And there was much rejoicing.
And there was much rejoicing.
Yay! All right, guys. Tonight is a giant feedback batch, so we will not spend a ton of time getting into our gameplay, but we'll turn the show over to you guys. Tonight we're hearing from the Green Dragon, Sully, Swirl M Normal, Mr. Sullivan.
I think it's pronounced Swear Immortal. Swear Immortal.
Swear Normal. Katherine, Clint, Bruce, Will, TyRell, Lee, Jeff, Taz, Keith, and Pip-Boy Steve. So
It's so freaking awesome.
gee whiz, you guys. It's nice to have the enthusiasm and everybody's burbling, getting ready for talking characters and spending tons of feedback. And you guys just awesome. We love it. We love it. So welcome to the show, everyone. We'll get into our gameplay off the top here. Roll into some feedback. I've got a game time, a quick game time if there's time, but I foresee pushing that to next week maybe. And we got a little bit of Iguana Bits. Jess put a very nice season calendar together. We'll roll into some of that and some shout outs on the way out the door. So why don't we go ahead and roll into it. Jess, did you get a chance to play any Fallout this week?
Oh, I did. I played so much Fallout, and there's a little bit of room for Fallout talk with all this feedback, but I am with you and Ray on this. Like, oh my goodness. I mean, the show is all about comparing and contrasting, playing Fallout 4, the community. A lot of times people coming on with us. In fact, we'll probably get some of our feedback people to come on with us again soon as we get on with the season, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I've started sending out a few invites to a couple people, trying to get some of our familiar faces back on to talk live about their characters. So we'll be
that will be awesome. Well, there's going to be a little bit less Fallout 76 gameplay in my personal gameplay for the next couple weeks because I am on Scorecation.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, you guys! That you know what that earns her.
Scorecation!
That's
Thank
amazing.
you. I'd like to thank the Academy and a little few Adams, but not that many, but a few Adams.
She gave me such a hard time about cheating my levels, and then she goes and just spins Adams to get to her
Scorecation!
and she thinks that counts.
Worth it. Absolutely worth it. But yeah, so 76 play this week. I mean, obviously, I'm still in there streaming and playing and taking pictures. But when you're on Scorecation, you can do whatever you want, you know? So that day that I dedicate to doing weeklies and dailies, I don't need to do that anymore. I can do whatever I want.
Hey, and congratulations on getting mentioned in that article about amazing things that gamers do in game. Wasn't that cool?
Oh, I didn't expect that to come up already. Yeah, so your girl was featured in Game Ranks. One of Game Ranks, they are a YouTube channel, and pretty big one. And they did a video with Falcon, 10 cool things gamers get up to in video games. And the Wasteland Theater Company and I were number 7.
Yeah, I don't think putting on a live play is on people's bingo card. Things to do in video games very
Maybe
often.
not usually, but yeah, they really like the video I did, and they like the whole concept, and shouted out a lot of people in the company. And they put my name and YouTube channel up on there, and it's been seen over like 250,000 times at this point. So that's a lot of people looking at my name, probably skipping that part. They're like 76 theater, skip. But, you know.
Skip. Give me Alice.
Anyway, it was quite exciting. So yeah, that was awesome.
That's great. Yeah. Congrats.
Speaking of streams and stuff like that, so we did questionable camps on Saturday with the Gato. First Saturday of the month, I've talked about how we often do like a pub crawl. We go around, we check out people's bars and fight clubs and that kind of thing, just kind of a fun, laid-back atmosphere. Well, for April 1st this year, you remember I might have said that we were doing crack camps, like camps where the person who built it must have been on chems at the time.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so much fun.
Much
We said,
jet.
oh, heck with it. Let's do it again. So we did that again. And once again, it is amazing how many people in the wasteland really aren't putting that much time, thought, or physics into their actual camp builds.
That's me. Hi. How's it going?
Oh, please. You do awesome, Andrew. I love your clutter. I love your clutter antique shop style.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
yard sale.
we found some funny ones. We had some people specifically sign up to show us some funky camps. My friend Kittens did one, and she actually built a camp in the cat house, which I didn't know you could build that much in the cat house, but
nice.
she did. She filled it all up. It was great.
Beautiful.
But the worst, the most questionable camp was done by one Ms. Shalene.
Really?
Yes. Archon was in chat, and we said, you know what, we could really use a few more camps to look at. And Archon's like, I got one. Shalene's here. I'm like, oh my gosh, not the whole, because I haven't seen that in about a year. The last time I saw it, I was horrified. You could build a better camp by dropping your camp unit and walking away.
Oh no. Poor Shalene.
It was fantastic. So she loaded in, and we slandered it, and it was wonderful. Got to make all kinds of fun. And afterwards, I said, Shalene, I'm so sorry. She's like, I was, low key, I was secretly hoping you would slander my camp one of these days. I'm like, beautiful. Well, it has been done.
Hilarious. Well, good
But
job.
she's been a little ill the last week, so feel better, Shalene.
Feel
You're out there.
better.
And not because of what I said. She's sick because she's sick.
She's sick with worry because you destroyed her confidence.
Beyond, I can't imagine. Not that girl. Beyond that, we actually had a Dusty Disco this week in 76 too. That was a lot of fun. Dusty Disco is a thing that my friend Rux does, Radical Rux, one of my ops at UWN, where he actually spins some DJ music. He likes to build disco camps, and it's a great time. We've been doing it. It's 2 years now. This was pretty much 2 years of discos.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I mean, sometimes we'll go like 4 or 5 months before he does one, but he's been doing it a little more regularly, doing it as part of Fallout for Hope. So that's been really fun. So that was all my 76 play streams and that sort of thing. We saw camps on Thursday, of course. Some great stuff. Really, really fun camps. Blue Ridge Caravan. Actually, one of the camps we saw was by Nobody. Some people might know him. He's an artist in the community. Call me Nobody. And he RPs as a member of the Blue Ridge Caravan. And he built a really cool caravan camp right next to, the east side of Big Bend Tunnel, right? Where Vinny Costa is with his coffee cup and you first meet Eugenie and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So he built right there. And apparently you can drop your camp almost right up against the fences. So if anyone listening likes the Blue Ridge Caravan and wants a spot to build, just on the slightly northeast side of there, you can build right next to the existing structure, which is really cool for role-playing purposes if you're into that sort of thing.
Very nice.
Yeah. But now to get into the stuff people at the moment care about a little bit more. Fallout 4.
Oh, yeah.
So I did get to some survival play this week. As we talked about last week where I was at and how I'd ended up just getting to Vault 81 after a pretty extreme excursion out onto the wild side of way too high level for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I did load in for a stream on Wednesday and played through probably a good 3-4 hours of survival. I did the Vault 81 quests. Went in there. I did get that leg piece I was talking about, the one where you get the fast 10% faster movement speed.
Yeah, that one's great.
Yeah, that's sold by, is it Allison? I think her name is Allison there in the depot. Allison Combs. Alexis Combs. Sorry, Alexis Combs. So she has it there. If anyone's looking for it, go in there. Lady at the depot. It's the mother of the girl who loses the cat. So I got that. I went through. The mole rats are a little tougher in survival. They were very bitey.
Very diseasy.
Mm-hmm. Very diseasy. I'm sure most people have done the quest listening, but if you haven't, I won't spoil the whole thing. But there's a whole separate side to the vault that you kind of discover via this quest, and you learn some info. Really neat. Because I'm running the DC Mole Rats mod, some of them spawned looking a little bit different too. So I think they were a little bit stronger than they might have been otherwise. Because I have a mod that makes them look a little bit more like DC Mole Rats and adds some, the Capital Wasteland ones, and adds a little bit more variety into them. And I think variety of stats too. They were tough, but I mean, I didn't really die, so they weren't that bad. Got through, and of course, as part of it, you get the mole rat disease. You have to make the decision you make. I made the the ostensibly good one, although I guess it's a matter of perspective.
Good girl.
Do what you got to do.
It's
So
hard.
after
It's
I
hard to be bad.
finally managed to get less cucumbered and got out of there, had to make the long trip back to Sanctuary because I did pick up Curie too because Curie is my assigned romance. So
Isn't it annoying to get Curie? Do you have one of those mods that's like make Curie available before? Isn't there like a huge bunch of crap?
you just have to do the quest.
Oh, that's
you just
it?
have to
Okay.
do the quest. Yep.
All right.
Yeah. There is a mod that I'm running because
Oh, it's
she's
you,
my,
Ray. I knew someone mentioned it.
and it lets you access the door inside the vault. So you can go in without
Doing the whole vault that you on
rats.
quest line.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah, so there's a shortcut. I didn't do the shortcut. I did the long way, but I mean, that makes
Well,
sense.
good job.
But the problem is, I was talking last week about how great Soul Survivor is. That Soul Survivor is maybe the most powerful mod or perk in survival mode. Because of that, 30% less damage at level 2, 100% more carry. Awesome, 100 points more carry. Well, once I got Curie as my companion,
Wah,
who's
wah.
assigned, romance, I had to get her back home all the way to Sanctuary. So I instantly went from 210 carry weight back down to 110 as soon as I picked her up as a companion. And I couldn't really sell enough. But then I realized, wait, she can carry things, which had somehow
Yes.
slipped my mind.
Huh. And if you dismiss her, you can tell her where to go, and you can get your carry weight
Can I be
back.
honest? I did think of that, but it didn't feel right to me. It would be kind of weird that if I'm going to romance her, I mean, you don't start a romance by making her carry your burdens and then sending her packing up north somewhere.
She's not
I'm
Lydia
like,
after all. Come on.
yeah, exactly. I had to legitimately bring her back to Sanctuary. It was a personal thing because I did think of that. I'm like, I could just dismiss her to say, no, that's not right. Let's do this. So anyway, yeah, we trekked all the way back up, which was fun and adventureful. Like, it's not that far from Vault 81 or Diamond City back up to Sanctuary. Everybody here playing with us on Survival has done it a bit. We're doing so much on foot until we get to the point where, if you're using certain mods, you can unlock fast travel. Those who aren't using certain mods will never unlock fast travel, So it's the thing. But yeah, so we did it. What I discovered is that there are more Yao Guai and ghouls in the wasteland than you would ever imagine.
Hey, boo boo.
Yeah, seriously, the place is lousy with bears. It might as well be Jellystone National Wasteland. It is kind of ridiculous.
Wasteland. I want that mod now.
Like, it was bad enough at Fairline Estates, but I mean, they just keep coming. I mean, the truth is, if you stick to the road a little better instead of going off road like I like to do, you might meet a few less. And if you're curious like a cat, you sometimes, you want to get close enough to them, like, oh, what is that? What is that? The better part of valor would be maybe not to poke all the bears or shoot them, as the case may be. But we made it home eventually. And it's funny, in survival, because things respawn a bit slower, it was good seeing areas that had been before that were kind of creature free. So I discovered a few places on the way back, like the ranger cabin, stuff like that I hadn't seen on the way down. I got back to Sanctuary, took care of everything there, upgraded my weapons and armor as best I could because I've leveled up a little bit. Dismissed Curie. We're at like 14% affinity at this point. Companion affinity is what it's called. I couldn't quite remember the exact name, which I know
You
because I
can
also
check
got
that?
I got a mod that will tell you the exact number. So normally it's, it'll
nice.
say liked that, disliked that, and then you have to kind of estimate in your head, greatly disliked, that sort of thing. But there's an mod that's just called Companion Affinity. And all it does is let you check Companion Affinity.
That's great. And I was gonna ask you, do they have to be actively following you? But then I remembered no, because anytime you do something in a camp, if you have like all the followers, you get every time you do an action, you get like a whole list of like Preston hated this.
There's a
Strong loved it.
proximity issue. Like, for instance, if Codsworth is at his house and I'm over crafting across the street, it won't necessily count.
Really?
But yeah, they have to be, I feel like, within I don't know how far exactly, maybe a couple foundations of you. But I've definitely had companions in the same settlement not do that unless it was like line of sight or nearby.
Oh wow. Okay. I didn't realize there was a proximity thing there too.
Seems to be. But yeah, so she likes me, but I did leave her there. I said, I'm sorry, alas, ma chérie, but we need to part ways. And I then assigned her to scrap, and she's like, "Oh, I do not know if I can do that." But that was a very bad curry.
Was that your French accent?
I don't really know. I think it was a little bit more Oliver Twist. But even though she protested, I think she doth protest too much, because then she went over and started scrapping. So that was good.
Yeah.
So from there, the plan was to, okay, Minutemen are my faction. I've got my romance. Like, I'm really making headway, you know. But by waiting till stream to play, I did lose some time of catching up, you know, where people are starting to pull ahead of me again. So I have to go work on my settlement. So I got all loaded for bear, as the case may be, literally. And we started heading to Ten Pines.
Hey, boo
Don,
boo.
Meat, and I. It's scary. We only ran into some mongrels along the way and stuff, but we're going to do a few scrapes and adventures. So at Ten Pines, I have about 6 or 7 different mods that affect settlement specifically. Nothing like major. Like, I'm not doing sim settlements like we talked about with Ray, or anything that really overhauls them, but like simple overhauls, you know, like ones to clean it up. Like, not clean and smooth, because I don't really like the clean and smooth ones. They kind of mess with other things by making it too clean and smooth. But it built a nice place. They had some nice cage bulb lights, and nobody cares about the way my settlements look. That's just me. But anyway, it looks nice. So we got there, discovered the new setup. It has some beds and everything. And Lucas Sims was there. So it was great. So I got to talk to Lucas. First time I met him this playthrough. We traded a bunch of items and stuff. I got 1 piece of armor from him. So I'm already getting more armored up. Everything good.
Nice.
Then we talked to the settler. And of course, she wanted to send me to Corvega.
Oh, boy. Already?
The time had come to get on with the quest. You know, in a traditional playthrough, the way I do it, it's almost the first thing I do. You know, I go to Concord, I rescue the Minutemen, like you should, Ray. And then I bring them back Sanctuary. And then I go to Abernathy and I do the Raiders. And then I go to Ten Pines. Like, it's bang, bang, boom. Those 3 things in a row. This time I put it off quite a bit with the whole Ten Pines and Corvega thing. But it's mostly because I was scared. I was very scared of Corvega. So I got the quest. We started heading south, and yeah, ghouls. Like, along the I feel like a lot of ghouls were hobos in a former life, like train hobos. Because the number of ghouls you find at the train tracks.
The station, yeah. They take naps in the cars. They're sleeping underneath. They are hobos.
Yeah, basically
right.
on the wheels. Yeah, I mean they're right on the rails. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, it's crazy. So I go down and like I'm fighting 6 or 7 ghouls at once a few times, and we do okay. But between the rad damage they do, the extra damage they do, you really got to get a headshot or 2 in on them when they're rushing you, or else you're in trouble. So. Yeah. Luckily, I'm doing pretty good. My character, with just 2 points in Gunslinger so far and a decent pistol, that legendary she got, I believe it's Resilient, is just, you know, doing pretty great, doing pretty solid so far. I do switch to the 44 when things are tough, like the turrets in, all the automated turrets in Vault 81.
Yeah.
Those are difficult. You need a high power one-shot weapon. I thought I could do a laser. Didn't really work. So, you know, word of warning, unless you've got a high power laser.
Pew pew.
Pew pew for real, because I have a mod installed that goes. Have you watched any of my playthrough, Andrew?
I haven't yet.
Yeah, so I've got the pew pew mod installed. It goes pew pew pew.
That's
which whenever people shoot lasers, which I love. You have to add a little levity in your survival.
You do.
But a couple friends have installed some same mods I do, and I think it might have even been Sully who mentioned that he's like, I didn't know it was going to literally go pew pew. I'm like, yeah, it does. It's wonderful. So. Anyway, we're going down and we make our way to Lexington, Concord area. Well, Lexington, which is where Corvega is. Now, one of the other mods I have installed that is very important to me and possibly cheaty, but in my mind, one of the most important mods in the game is the jetpack mod. Okay, and since I don't like power armor, I can build a jetpack on power armor, but I don't want to. I don't want to wear power armor. So I got the jetpack mod, which is in the Super Duper Market there in Lexington. So we got in there, we cleaned up the Super Duper Mart, and I got my jetpack and went through. And, you know, there's that whole story in there about the Minutemen, the small squad of Minutemen who got separated from Preston's crew. Do you guys remember that story?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just kind of the basics. They were scouting for supplies and stuff like that, and what happened to them. So you can listen to a few holotapes, read some notes, and also get some decent armor, because they had decent armor. I think on the base game, I do think that because I have a Minutemen Enhanced mod, it might have given them slightly better armor. So I got a nice new chest piece from them that's a little bit tougher, and that's really sweet. And my DR now is up to about almost 80. I think.
Sweet.
I was rocking like 51 last. Yeah, I was rocking like 51 to 59 last week, and at this point, I'm up at about 80 DR altogether. So that's pretty good for no ballistic weave. Which I'll be getting soon enough. So I did all that. I cleaned them out. I got outside, and at that point, I had been playing for like 3-4 hours on stream. So I saved. So I am just outside Corvega. So probably first thing I'll be doing this weekend when I hop into the game, if I do for a bit, which I have to, will be to do Corvega and Survival. So if I'm up for it, I'll stream it on the ASA podcasting channel, on our own channel.
Boom.
Yeah. Assuming I get to it. But that will be fun. And that's where I'm at for my Fallout 4 gameplay.
Is there a bobblehead in there? There is, isn't there? In Corvega?
Yeah, the repair, it's on top.
Repair doesn't do anything.
Repair is good. Yeah, I've only got 2 bobbleheads so far, but I'm getting there.
Yeah.
Sweet. How
Yeah,
about
the medicine?
Repair's good if you
Mercury.
do power armor.
Except for I was thinking, it doesn't repair anything. There's no repair to do in the game, but you do actually have to repair power armor if you wear power armor. Because I was wearing power armor the other day, and I noticed, the leg went. Oh, you do have to repair
pieces get
something.
broken.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But there's no other normal weapons or armor.
Yeah, it makes sense as a balancing mechanic for power armor, because otherwise power armor could be too powerful in the field if it never really took damage.
Yeah, you're right.
I get that. My power armor is pretty sweet right now. It's Chrome T45B. I like it. I found another set that I haven't brought home yet. Actually, I found a set there's some in a train car on the way back from Vault 81. You guys probably all know it's along the tracks, but it's all locked up tight, and it looks like it was spawning T51 already. Like I'm just at the bottom of the level where that'll start to spawn. So I wanted it, but I couldn't pick the lock.
We need like a Pimp My Ride style power armor show with the Atom Cats.
Yeah, we do. I mean, Alex basically ran one for a while. I mean,
Yeah.
his first couple camps were all power armor repair and, upgrading factories. Besides that, I played a little Redfall.
Ooh.
Don't need to dwell on it, but I'm still enjoying it. Second week, still enjoying it, people, believe it or not. And I'm at like level 10.
How dare you?
I didn't have to be as defensive this week. I mean, not that I was being defensive. I was really more like just having fun telling people, yeah, I kind of like it. Because this week, believe it or not, a few more people coming around, Andrew. I am not the only one saying, you guys know, if you play for a bit, it's not that bad.
Well, it actually is okay, I guess.
Maybe some of these first impressions where we all decided the first hour we hated it were maybe wrong. Maybe if I played for 2 hours, I realized maybe it's not that bad.
Oh my God! Initial reactions aren't actually reactions that you should have. Oh gosh. Give
You
things a
can't-
chance, maybe. I don't know about that.
You can't fault people for their opinion, but you got to hope that it's genuinely their opinion and not what they heard.
You can absolutely fault people for their opinions. If you don't hold them accountable for their bad opinions, what are we here for? Come on, Jess.
You're absolutely right. There are certain things, certain areas in which opinions really matter. On a video game, maybe not so much.
Maybe not as much. Yeah.
we can still judge a little, but yeah. So that's been nice. I'm up to level 10 there. I've got some great weapons. Going through the story. The story is actually pretty good. It's dark. If you want to do some shooting, it's not bad. However, one comment I heard from somebody who's not playing along with us, but is a Fallout player. They said, I was playing Redfall. And the whole time I just thought, man, I'd rather be playing Fallout 4. I'm like, okay. If you're going to make a choice, that's a good one.
Yeah.
How about you, Ray? Have you gotten up to any Fallout this week?
That would be absolutely none.
Whoa.
Wow. Okay.
Something
I know,
happened?
right?
Are you okay? Is the world still spinning? What's going on?
Yeah. But so I had kind of gotten to a spot where I wanted to do some streaming, and then I just never had a chance to stream, and so I didn't do that. And I would have played Fallout 76, but Jess had the servers all hogged up.
Totally did.
Constant, gameplay, so
Oh, no.
I wasn't able to get in at all.
There was no room. Servers at max budget.
No, everything was maxed out.
Oh, jeez.
So I did play a little Redfall, and
Nice.
so I think that, so even though I was playing by myself, I think they do have a little bit of server load issue, because when I played during the week, it was smooth as silk, but on the weekend, it was getting a little choppy.
Really? When you were in game playing, it got a little laggy on you.
Yeah, where I hadn't had any problem at all previously. But yeah, it's still fun.
It's fun. Even though it was local play, I'm surprised because you're not playing on a server technically, but I guess just checking in with things, you feel like it got laggier? No settings difference?
No, I can't imagine what it would have been other than, I mean, is it a local game?
Yeah, it should be. Oh, I think it is. My goodness, that's a weird question, a weird thought. I know you need to check in online. There's an always online DRM aspect. That is one of the things people like about it is that there's the Nuvo DRM built in, and you know how DRM has to have outside checks that can make things laggy. Might be that.
Yeah, that could be what it is.
I think the answer is, Ray, you need to just build yourself a new computer, I guess. Oh, no.
Jeff
What
in chat
can I
said
do?
that too.
Oh, darn.
But and then I was playing quite a bit of No Man's Sky, trying to come up with a scenario for a challenge run. Unfortunately, it's not working out, and I don't think it's going to work. So I'll have to come up with another idea. But that took a lot of time. Most of my time has been spent in Night City.
What's
Back in
Night City?
Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk. There you go.
Yeah. So I'm trying to ratchet up the difficulty on that, and so I've been getting my ass handed to me pretty routinely for the last few days.
He's a glutton for punishment in all your games, huh?
Yeah, I am.
Crank
But
up the
it's
difficulty.
getting a little better at least. But yeah, it's tough on higher difficulties when you first start out.
I can imagine. I mean, but that is kind of your thing lately, right? Trying the higher difficulties and permadeath and obviously survival in different games.
Yeah, because it forces more strategy. You have to plan things out. You have to figure out how to keep yourself, safe throughout and still get the job done.
Yeah.
So it just makes it more of a thinking game.
A lot of the mechanics that developers put in games that we kind of wonder, like, why are they there? We don't really use those. What's that even for? What's the point? You play on a higher difficulty, you need it. I know for Witcher, that's the case. Like in Witcher 3, you might never use your blade oils and stuff or signs that often, but then you put it on something difficult and suddenly, yeah, you better be oiling that blade before you fight.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's been what's eaten up most of my time, but I'll definitely be back in Fallout 4 this week because I got to get to level 30.
Sweet. Let's get there, folks. Head over to Far Harbor here pretty soon, a couple weeks.
And hopefully I'll be able to squeeze a little stream time in.
Yeah, we haven't meandered over to the show feed, but ASA Podcasting has a Twitch, and hopefully we'll be streaming some of our quests when we get to the assigned quest.
Now that we're back on a roundtable, we said we would. I mean, I know we didn't so much for Fallout 1 because I was doing it on my own channel, and, it's just a little bit, streaming that was a little bit different for everybody. But yeah, we did for New Vegas. I definitely think we should for.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, Ray, any other gameplay you wanted to mention there?
No, I think that should pretty well cover mine.
I just got a couple of things I'd like to mention. I had 2 gigantic play sessions over the weekend, but both of them were pretty much spent.
Must have covered a lot of the map, Andrew.
Yeah, I got all over the map. I unlocked Revere Beach subway station or whatever that place is called, and that's about as far as I got because I found when I opened the door and turned right down the hallway, there were 2 rad roaches outside a room, and then you go into a room and there's 5 or 6 more. Sometimes it was outside the room, and most of the time it was inside the room hanging off the ceiling, but there was a legendary rad roach I found. And I had just happened to do myself, I almost said autosave, but it's a quick save with the mod. Right outside the door, before it loaded. So I was testing how legendary farming worked, because we kind of mentioned that last week.
Right. Wanted to kind of figure it out, see if you could actually cause new items to spawn properly.
Yeah. And so I just kept reloading over and over and over until I got a weapon that I was happy with. I eventually got an explosive 10mm pistol, which I'm doing a sort of a pistol sneaky build, so I thought that worked pretty well. Explosive and sneaking goes hand in hand, of course, like everyone would assume. But I'm not sure. I didn't get since I don't have the autosave versus the quick save versus the hard save, I couldn't really test which save held position on, if it keeps it the same weapon and changes the effect, or changes the effect, vice versa. I only had the quick save, autosave.
Autosave.
So it's
Autosave.
called a quick save, but in the corner it says auto saving. That's why you're confused.
Okay.
Yeah.
I only had the autosave, so I didn't have any hard saves to actually test with. So it was giving me. See, I thought at first, because I got the same legendary effect a few times on different items, so I was like, oh, this one only changes the item but not the effect, and it must be the other save that changes the effect, not the item. But it didn't work out, though. It just gave me a totally random one each time. It changed both the weapon and the legendary effect. So I spent my whole 2 hours, 3 hours maybe, just watching TV and reloading. It was the perfect scenario to test this, because it's just a fucking rad roach. It takes one shot.
You hear that? Anybody listening who you were told, oh, you can't fast travel, that would be cheaty. Oh, you can't
you
this
can't
or
do
that.
That's cheating. You can't do that. Now shut up and let me talk about my cheating.
Tell us about your visit to the legendary purveyor.
Pretty much the legend. I was over at Murgle Burgle here, getting my my legendary perks out. But anyway, so I spent like 2.5 hours one night just watching TV and reloading, and didn't get anything that I liked, and then loaded up again the next day. Spent about another hour and a half or two reloading. And I finally got the explosive pistol. But that was pretty much my main chunk of my gameplay, was just sort of reloading just to get the get that explosive. So I didn't do a ton of running around, but one thing I had been working, I think I mentioned it last week, what I wanted to do was, since I'm not building the recruitment beacons, I'm doing some robot purveyors, and I'm building robots and sending them to do all of my delivery and all that. Unless I go to a settlement and there's people already there, then I'll send one of those people back. But generally, if it's like uninhabited, I will make 2 robots, send one as the purveyor, and then assign the other one as my follower, then dismiss them to the camp or settlement that I'm sending the purveyor to. So I'm establishing a trade route and sending one settler, aka this robot, and that robot is always assigned to a junk station. So we're sort of discussing in the chat how the junk stations work, and like, okay, if you have the purveyor set up, then you have immediate access to all the junk in all connected settlements. So I was just kind of wondering, like, at what point do you get access? Like, how do the mechanics of this work? It's not just like a constant stream. Like, it was weird, because I
think it should be a constant stream, Andrew. I think basically from the moment you assign the purveyor, you get access. Maybe they need to make a single trip first, but I don't think so.
Well, it was funny because I set up a trade route and then sort of like stepped out, and like, to farm some plants to make some, get my glue and all that together. So I stepped out. I tried to make a purveyor and a junk robot to send to one of my new settlements. I made the purveyor one and sent them off and got an assigned, but then I tried to make the second robot, and it was like, oh, you do not have the components to make this. Like, oh, fuck. I ran out of rubber or something. So I was like, oh, crap. Well, I'll go out and I'll do some farming, and we'll go out and adventure, and maybe I'll bring back components, and we'll build that other robot. Got to remember to do that. So I stepped outside, and I see coming up the hill is one of my purveyor robots. I'm like, oh, hey, awesome, buddy. Good to see you. And then I went back inside immediately and checked the robot workbench, and then I could build him. So it's like that robot literally delivered me some rubber that I could use to make the junk robot that I just couldn't build 30 seconds before. So I'm like, wait a second, are they actually delivering these things, or did it just so happen that the timing was perfect that some robot at some other junk station, like, and I'm wondering, like, how does that work? When does it deliver it? Does the junk station just every 10 minutes give you a clump of stuff, random, or so I don't know. And I was wondering if you guys know how the junk station actually functions. How does that work?
So, I mean, it's not the junk station. It's the provisioner that creates a supply line.
Yes.
Okay, so this is supply line specifically. I'm actually going to go right to a Nukipedia on this just to see kind of how Nukipedia has it written out, because I want to make sure I get this exactly right. Okay, so let's see. When building at a workshop or using crafting station inside a linked settlement, one can craft using the junk, aid, and miscellaneous items in the inventories of all linked workshops from the linked settlements. So if you have a prisoner from Sanctuary to Ten Pines, and then Ten Pines has a provisioner down to Taffington, and Taffington to Hangman's Alley, all 4 of those should be accessible at any one of them. So that's what it says. Junk items, aid, and miscellaneous.
I didn't know about the aid and miscellaneous. So I understand that aspect of it. I was just, the timing of it was like,
Yeah, let me keep reading.
Okay.
Next bullet point. Excess food and drink can be used to supply the settlements in the supply network. So that means that if you have one that's not making enough food and they have a food shortage, they're not going to starve and start to die on you or complain as much because they'll have food from that.
Nice.
Let's see. Provisioners can double as friendly patrols. It is possible to establish supplies between the Commonwealth Island and Nuka World. And if they are encountered in the wasteland, they can be given items they will carry to the settlement. So it doesn't say about coming back and forth. However, maybe it's possible that it's not instantaneous like I was thinking, and they have to make at least one back and forth trip before they're fully active. I don't know.
Interesting.
You know anything different, Ray?
No, but if you used up all your rubber, then when one of your scrap stations get replenishes it, then it would instantly be available everywhere.
So you think it might have come from his scrap station instead of the provisioner supply line? That would make sense.
Yeah, and I was just wondering, like, how often does each junk station dump stuff into your new inventory? Like, if I have a junk robot sitting there,
I think it's just like your Collectron. I feel like it's an item every couple minutes.
Okay. It's just happened to be the correct item at the right time when I need it. And it was just funny because it looked like the robot actually literally dropped off a shipment for me.
Yeah.
Like, oh, great. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah. So. You requisitioned some rubber.
Oh, boy.
I'm here to deliver.
So that was my big gameplay, was reloading, and hey, thanks for the delivery, Mr. Robot. But now that I have an explosive pistol, I'm going to start investing some deeper points into the Demolition Expert, which is one of my assigned perks, and hopefully that'll, improve my damage in Fallout 4 as well, because I know 76 gets the Demolition Expert, and it helps your explosive pistols. So, but I also found out that shooting it in close proximity in survival mode is not the best setup.
No, your explosive weapon can damage you.
Damage
just
myself.
Like in 76?
Yeah, splash damage against myself. It's not great. So I need to be careful about that until get a little better. All right, so we do have a whole slew of feedback that we need to get into.
We sure do. I'm so excited. You guys, this is an hour and a half of feedback y'all sent in.
Yeah.
An hour and a half. So that's why we're hopping right to it. We got to keep our personal feedback quick tonight.
Let's get into it. All right, here's some feedback.
As we dance in the air, we may
Hello, Green Dragon.
Hello, this is Jason, aka Green Dragon. Last time I introduced you to Debbie, so now we're going to continue to follow her adventures. October 11, 2287. Yesterday, when I explored Sanctuary, I came across this old diary locked away in a small bomb shelter, so I've decided to chronicle my adventures in it. I was not alone in exploring Sanctuary. I came across a Mr. Handy floating around one of the houses. Something must have got him screwed up in his programming, because he started talking to me like he recognized me. While this confusing conversation was going on, all of a sudden he said something about bugs and dashed off. I continued to scavenge what I could so I could build myself a camp and settle down for the day. October 14, 2287. Wow, the last couple of days have been exciting. I headed out of Sanctuary towards the red rocket I could see down the road and found myself the most adorable of travelling companions, a dog. We then continued into Concord, where we could hear gunshots to find a gang of raiders had trapped some people in a building. Using the sniper rifle I found in Sanctuary, I picked off a couple of the raiders and distracted the others enough so Preston could finish them off. All of us then went back to Sanctuary, where I'm helping them set up a settlement. October 20th, 2287. So I'm out on my own again. Well, not entirely alone. I've got dog meat with me. I found out that was his name from Mama Murphy. It wasn't so bad helping them get set up, but Preston kept going on about joining him in restarting his Minutemen. And I'm just not interested. I want to explore, not run around getting into fights all the time, but he wouldn't shut up about it, so I packed up and left. I'm now at an old drive-in movie theatre where I've turned the main kiosk into a place I can base myself from as I scout out the area. October 21st, 2287. My first trip out, and I find an old diner with the occupants under siege by a couple of raiders. I hope this doesn't become a thing. Once they were taken care of, I found out the place is a shop. This is going to be very useful while I'm in the area. October 22nd, 2287. I went exploring in the hills between Sanctuary and Starlight, looking for anything useful that I could use. I came across a crashed vertibird, and not far from it was a suit of power armor, so I shot back to Concord to get the fusion core I saw in the basement where Preston was holed up. Now I have a mobile suit of power armor, but I had to take it to Sanctuary to fix it up, and Preston is still going on about some settlement he thinks is in trouble, so I told him to help me get the armor fixed up and I'll check on it. November 17, 2287. I've been busy and or distracted recently. Once the armor was ready, I looked for the settlement Preston was on about, and it turned out it was a small farm with 2 people there. I told them they should head to Sanctuary, but they refused, said they were happy where they were, except for some raiders hassling them. So in my trusty power armor, with my sniper rifle and shotgun, it was easy to convince those that were left to move along. Another surprising event was coming back to Starlight to find several people building shacks in the parking area. It looks like I've accidentally started my own settlement. November 20, 2287. I went for a foraging trip into the city and got cornered by some super mutants in the headquarters of some company called Radium Inc. I couldn't believe how crazy people before the bombs were irradiated toothpaste and kids' toys. What were they thinking? I found some labs where someone had been doing experiments on people and they had turned into ghouls. As I was putting them down, the AI started flooding the place with radiation and released some protectrons. I disabled them and got into the mainframe room where the AI gave me this big sob story about being lonely, so he had no choice but to try and prolong the employee's lifespans so he wouldn't be by himself. It had the nerve to suggest I download it into my Pip-Boy so I could set it up somewhere else. I couldn't delete it fast enough. Just the thought of it being allowed to run amok outside of the building is too scary to think about. By the time I slowly exited the building, all was clear and I headed back to my temporary home. December 18, 2287. I've spent the last couple of weeks recovering and preparing to continue on my exploration. Also, I've been helping get this little settlement established. Not too much has happened. I've been up on the old movie screen with my sniper rifle, practicing my shooting on ghouls, wild dogs, and these strange robots that kind of look like people. I've collected some parts of them to study. Tomorrow, I head out.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Green Dragon.
Nice.
Good luck on your settlement over there. Sounds like, is that the Radium Ink mod that he was messing around with there?
Yeah, he was the first to jump in and do that. We were talking about that in the Discord chat a little bit when he went in. He's just checking, is it okay to go? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. It kind of adds a new experience to the feedback, and that's why they're there, that it's something to do, and we don't want to get too far ahead. Because he has finished the main story at this point.
What?
I believe, I might be misremembering, but we're talking about it, and I think he has essentially finished the main story.
Good Lord. Holy cow,
Yep.
Jason.
He's been playing a lot, which super appreciate, getting really into it, giving the rest of us tips on the survival run. Yeah, he's
great.
level 43. My goodness.
Well, I hope that settlement over there at the old movies drive-in gets that established and going. Good luck, sir. Let's go ahead and switch gears over to Sully Orr. Hey, Eric.
Hello, fellow Wastelanders. Eric, aka Sully Orr here, and I'm going to try and keep this under 5 minutes, but no promises. You guys know how long-winded I can get with these. So, when my last segment aired during the feedback episode a couple weeks ago, that was already outdated. Let's just say I've been playing a lot, but again, I'll try and keep this brief. But if I had to describe this experience in a single word, I would have to go with humbling. So while the last show was going on, at that point I'd been trying to get all of the settlements. I've been doing a lot of the settlement quests. I did a little bit of the main quest. I did the Concord courthouse, so that was an experience in of itself. Getting in there for me wasn't very difficult, but once I was in there, let's just say I was acting like a complete stormtrooper, even though I had a perception of 9. Just a little bit of a spoiler, there's going to be a lot of Star Wars references in this. So yeah, once I got in there, I got killed several times, but I finally made it through, and I actually didn't die to the Deathclaw, surprisingly. So yeah, I started doing a bunch of settlement quests, and those were going fine until, again, while the last show was airing, I tried to take Green Top, and again, this has been a very humbling experience. Every time, I think I'm starting to do well, I need Han Solo in my head, I'd be like, hey, I got one, and then Han Solo's like, great kid, now don't get cocky. So, yeah, I got a little cocky and tried to take Green Top, only to fail miserably. And, again, yeah, this was all going on during the last feedback episode, so I kept trying to, haul ass and get out of there. But for whatever reason, the game just did not want me to get back to Sanctuary. It was throwing everything at me. It was throwing Yagwai. It was throwing huge feral ghoul hordes. It was throwing bloatflies, which that wasn't a big deal. It was throwing robots, including an Assaultron. These were all like random spawns. I don't know what the hell was going on, but it was insane. But I finally pushed through and got back to Sanctuary, so I started doing some of the main quest. So I did the quest to get to Diamond City. I got Piper, and that all went well and good. I mean, I I got killed a few times in that shootout with the super mutants right outside of Diamond City, but I did manage to succeed, and I'm now still wearing some of the guard armor. So we went to go get Skinny Malone, and I didn't push my luck with that and try and kill him after I somehow managed to convince Darla to leave him. So that went well. And then we went to go get Kellogg. So I took Piper with me to go get Kellogg because I wanted to see what her reaction to the Pridwin would be. So, each companion has their own reaction. Nick Valentine's like, oh, there's something you don't see every day. And then there's Hancock, who just goes, holy shit. It's always fun. Piper, we'll get to that, but I did this a couple of different times because I was doing this on stream the first time, and I was trying to go in from the top, and that was a bad idea because, again, I got cocky. I couldn't even take out the first group of the synths. So I was doing this on stream. Everybody was suggesting going in through the garage, and I did this off stream. That actually worked really well. So I get to Kellogg, and I wasn't able to... I didn't know that there was a password to the armory. So I died a few times, but then I took some Med-X and some Psycho, and taking Psycho is always an experience. And I just bolted to him, went to town with him on my katana, and then quickly hid behind a desk so I wouldn't get killed. And I did it. That worked really well. So I decided to go back to, you have to go talk to Nick again, and then I went to Good Neighbor, and I decided to do some Shroud quests. So I was able to do the first Shroud quest, did that on stream, and that was both a frustrating experience and one of the best. So it was frustrating because my game is still crashing in downtown Boston. I don't know what I can do to prevent that. But so I crashed like 3 or 4 times, and then I got a raid during that stream. So that was amazing. And I had to finish that off stream, but I did. And now I'm trying to do Bobby No-Nose's quest to get the Fireworks out, and then I can have my romance Hancock running around with me. So that is where I'm at right now. I'm level 16, and still really enjoying this, even though it can be really frustrating sometimes. I just can't get cocky. So anyway, that is it, and I will see you in the wasteland.
Awesome. Sounds like he's having fun over there in Good Neighbor, playing with Bobby No-Nose, about to get his Hancock all settled in. Boston crashing issues. Jess, you mentioned in the past there's some sort of half the bad guys or something. I don't remember
We
what it
actually
was.
talked through it a bit. Sully and I, he does have a few of those installed. We're looking at load order right now to figure out what some issues may be. But he is playing on a regular Xbox One S with some mods installed, and he did make it out of the area. Just be careful to avoid the direct north, the immediately north, and the a bit more east. Anything Faneuil Hall up to the city center there, around that area. By the time you get to Pickman or get to the waterfront, or even as far south as the the Shamrock pub there, where you get Drinkin' Buddy, that stuff is okay. But immediately north and east of Good Neighbor is one of the worst spots for crashing on the old Xbox.
Yeah. He also mentioned he's got some of the DC Guard armor. I picked up some of that off of a dead DC Guard and tried to change it on the bench, but I was never granted access. It's like you can't improve the DC umpire's chest piece or whatever like that. You guys ever noticed that? I never noticed that before.
No, I'm not sure on what you were trying that. I mean, keep in mind, when it comes to the armor modification stuff, when you're doing the fancier things, a lot of it requires, you need that AWKCR, and then you need there's a bunch of different armor mods you have to stack together with dependencies to make that stuff work.
I don't have any armor mods. It just wouldn't even let me access. I didn't even see it listed when I...
Doing the insulated lining or anything wouldn't let you do that?
It's not even listed to alter it at all. So
it might just be that armor type doesn't have mods then.
Yeah.
Because
you're not supposed to kill the DC guards and take their damn armor. I think that's the point they're making there. All right, Eric, stay humble And
Did enjoy that. Yes, stay humble. He's talking about during last feedback episode. He was in chat last time we were doing feedback, and he was talking about getting murdered at Green Top the whole time. So it was painful for sure.
Well, don't get cocky.
Hey everyone, Swear I'm Normal here, back with an update on Nuke. So I exited the vault and ran to Sanctuary, cleared and looted that before circling the area to gain some XP, level up a little bit. I headed to the overlook that, well, overlooks the vault, grabbed the water there, and then cleared out the raiders at that transmission tower. And then the random encounter near there for me was a wandering ghoul that asked me for water.
Nice.
So I gave her some of the dirty water that I had just picked up from the overlook because she's a ghoul and radiation does not bother her. Also,
Smart.
purified water is mine. After that, I went and cleared out the Wicked Shipping Fleet lockup purely for the key that you can get that unlocks all of the Wicked Shipping semis, except I haven't really used it, like, at all, and I'm level 20 now at the time of recording. So I'm not entirely sure that bit was worth it, but there is a Grognak the Barbarian magazine there, so it was a little bit worth it in the long run. After that, I went to Abernathy Farm to get the quest from Blake Abernathy to take back the locket that the raiders from the USAF Olivia station stole. So I got the quest, and I went to the Red Rocket settlement to make a portable sleeping bag that I got from one of my mods that basically means I have a bed everywhere. I'm not going to be using the sleeping bag solely. If I'm in a town or a city that has an available bed at an inn, I'm going to use that instead because I don't want to get rid of that aspect of the survival playthrough. From the Red Rocket station, I went to Sanctuary to drop off all of the junk that I had collected, and then, finally, I went into Concord to save Preston and the gang from the raiders. So I cleared out the outside of Concord, the inside of the Museum of Freedom, and then killed the Deathclaw before immediately heading south. I ran into Carla on the way, purchased some more ammo for my 10mm that I was using, and then immediately ran into a Rad Scorpion at that random encounter, which is normally mongrel dogs, I think, at least for me. So it was kind of very unfortunate that it was a Rad Scorpion, considering I was level 5 at the time, and that's not an ideal level to take on a Rad Scorpion. Killed it, though, with the help of Carla, so that was nice. Very glad that I bought the ammo beforehand. After that, I continued south and ran to Drumlin Diner, threw a frag grenade at Wolfgang and Simone because my vice of assignment is alcohol, not chems, and Simone has a metal left armor piece that is definitely better than the leather that I was sporting, so I just wanted her armor, basically. That's the only reason I went down to Drumlin Diner. After that, I ran back to Sanctuary to get the Quincy Survivors settled in because I hadn't done that yet. And that is where I picked up the quest to go to Ten Pines Bluff. I tried to take a shortcut to get there by just heading east across the river.
that works.
Except I ran into a Deathclaw and died pretty much immediately. That was my first death of the run-through, which I count as a success, but it was most certainly not the last. I wasn't too terribly set back by that death, but I did have to go down to Drumlin Diner to kill Wolfgang and Simone again, and then get everybody settled back in at Sanctuary, which was a little bit frustrating. But I learned my lesson, and I stuck to the roads after that. So I headed to USAF Olivia to clear that place out, get the locket. I only died once or twice there, and there's a mattress, so I saved there. So I wasn't set back at all. I returned the locket to Blake Abernathy and then built up the Abernathy Farm as it's my assigned settlement, which is really kind of nice at the beginning of the game because it's right next to Sanctuary, but further along in your playthrough, it's just too far north that I never ever really use it anymore. Same thing goes with like Sanctuary and Ten Pines and all of that. It's just way too far north for me and my liking. After that, I headed down to Lexington and explored the city a little before I entered Corvega through the pipe rather than trying to storm the doors, which is whole lot harder than just going through the pipe. I made my way through the factory just fine, killed Jared, and then exited to the roof, which is where it got a whole lot more difficult. I normally play a sniper build, but I'm trying not to do that for Nuke. He was never trained in firing a sniper or working with a sniper rifle. I'm trying to stick to just pistols and like a mid-ranged rifle. I was doing pretty well at the beginning of clearing out the roof, except I got a little bit lazy. Apparently, I had forgotten my lesson of trying to take shortcuts, and I jumped from a higher catwalk to a lower one, except it was too high, and I died. After that, my luck pretty much ran out. I tried to clear the rooftop 7 more times, never getting anywhere near as far as the first run through. Eventually, I called it quits and ran off. I'd already killed Jared, so if it was good enough for the people at 10 Pines, it's good enough for me, which, I mean, not really, but I was getting frustrated, and trying to do the same part over and over again was just I was not feeling it. I relayed my success to both 10 Pines and Preston, and then headed off for Greater Mass Blood Clinic, which is near Fort Hagen, because I knew that there was a combat rifle there, and I figured it would help me stay away from the sniper build if I grabbed the combat rifle instead of using the hunting rifle that I had found off a raider. Except when I did get there and I picked up the combat rifle, I realized that it did a whole lot less damage than the hunting rifle did. I didn't figure out the DPS, but I figured it wasn't even worth it. So it was pretty much just a big, worthless detour that I took out there. After that, I headed down to Diamond City, met up with Piper, my assigned romance partner, went in for an interview that she asked for, talked to Ellie, and then headed off to Park Street Station to go save Nick. I didn't do too badly in the subway station, died a couple times, saved pretty much whenever I saw a bed or a sleeping bag or anything that could be used to save. I guess I should mention I'm not really using the quick save mod. I don't have it installed. I have a different mod that allows me to save at other times called Sleep or Save. So I don't have to sleep for an hour at a bed to save. I have another button that I can click to save at the bed. But it also adds a new drug to my game called Savo that I can make from Jet and Mentats. So my ability to save is either a bed or a sleeping bag that I could find, or this drug that I have to make. And if I don't have the drug, then I can't really save. I should also mention that I'm not using my portable sleeping bag from my mod as a save point whenever I want, because although I could do that, to me it's not in the spirit of survival, so I'm kind of staying away from that. At the end confrontation in Park Street Station with Skinny Malone and Darla and a couple of his goons, during the conversation that Skinny was having with Nick, I dropped 3 frag mines at their feet. I don't know if immediately when they aggro they would blow up, but I figured it was worth a shot because that spot always gives me a little bit of trouble, and I didn't really want to die again. Except I managed to talk Darla into leaving Skinny and heading back to Diamond City, so I didn't have to use the mines. Except when I went to go pick up all 3 of them, I only got 2 of them because a triggerman was standing on one of them and I couldn't pick it up. All it would do, it was just activate him. So I was just talking to him and it wasn't working like I wanted to. So unfortunately, I had to leave a mine behind. After that, I went back to Diamond City with Nick and Piper, except I didn't actually talk to Nick and Ellie at the detective agency. I went and talked to the Bobrov brothers, Vadim and Yefim, and started the Confidence Man quest. So I ran through that, picked the fight at the bar with Travis, saved Vadim from Beantown Brewery, and with Bull and his men. After all of this, I was about level 19 or so, 18 or 19, something like that, and I figured it was time to upgrade from the 10mm. So I headed east towards Finch Farm, picking up Starlight Drive-In, stopped by Covenant, grabbed Taffington Boathouse, and when I finally reached Finch Farm, across the river there's this pump house, and that holds the legendary weapon called the Gainer, which is a 44 revolver pistol that does an extra 25 points of fire damage, I think it's 25 anyway, which is very much nicer than the 10mm. Its base damage does more, it's got the extra fire damage, so that's pretty much where I'm at with Nuke right now, and I'll see everyone in the Wasteland.
Holy cow, she got into a lot.
Yeah.
Yowza.
Well, that makes sense. Some people we got an update of where they had gotten to with the character so far, but that was pretty much her whole playthrough from creating the character, or a lot of it.
That's pretty amazing.
Where she's been. Yeah, that's great stories. I like the path she took to get there. I like how long it took her to die. I'm curious about this Deathclaw east of Sanctuary.
Oh, yeah.
That's an unusual spawn. I'm not sure why it was there, but wow. It must just have been a bad location where the shortcut was. That is cray. I like the story about Corvega. That was really, really interesting. I'm glad you got in and took care of Jared and stuff for them.
And reloaded 7 times on the roof.
I mean, that part is harder. That's what I'm scared about. I saved outside. I'm worried about it too. This whole story, some of these stories she's telling about the trips and stuff like that, like trying to avoid regular ways of playing through. That makes perfect sense.
That's what the round
combat rifle she was talking about. No, it wasn't an automatic combat rifle over there, because it's
I
funny.
think it was just a regular combat rifle.
Because combat rifle takes more AP than a hunting rifle too. So like if a hunting rifle, because usually if something does more damage, it takes more AP. But if her setup on her hunting rifle, like the standard takes a little less AP even. So yeah, that's definitely a better choice until you get it all set up. But if you get automatic and you get commando and stuff like that, it could be really worth it.
Yeah, I love the combat rifle. I always shun the hunting rifles and sniper rifles and such, but I can see sniper's one of her usual playthroughs, so avoiding that is part of the whole purpose of the round table. Now, she mentioned the wicked shipping key, which I also ran and picked up, but I had forgotten, that's for all the fucking trailers that you find along the side of the road. And so I was like, oh, yeah. So thank you for mentioning that, because now I'll try to remember to, there's like, there are only like 4 specific trailers?
There's probably 5 or 6 of them, I think. I mean, there's one near Drumlin Diner. There's one near South Boston.
Yeah, there's 4 of them total. The one in the parking lot, and then... yeah, the one by Corvega or Drumlin Diner. There's one by the disposal site.
Okay.
And then there's one other one. I don't remember.
I know there's the one near the South Boston military checkpoint. I know that one because I saw it when I was doing my big run.
Yeah, that's the other one.
Okay.
Yeah, so the only one that is really loaded is the one that's right there in the parking lot.
Oh, then not much else than the others?
Yeah, the rest of them are pretty sparse.
Well, it's fun to check anyhow, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Definitely worth it. The one of the things she mentioned too, mod she's mentioned, sleep or save. That's the one that I was going to use when we were first talking through mods before the playthrough, and then I found the no sleep till bedtime one and decided to use that instead. But yeah, the sleep or save makes perfect sense, because make it like a save point. You know what I mean? But you don't need to waste an hour or more sleeping when you want to get on with the show. You just need a save.
Mattress. Right. And I appreciate her dedication to the whole feeling of survival mode. Like, she's using only the mattresses, so she's not doing like extra saves like me and cheating, so she's really embracing the whole feel of the survival mode. So that's really great. That's where I'm going.
Yeah, that is great. I am, I do feel a little bad with us with the quick save, but we have to make sure that we make it through. Do the whole round table. And so my justification is, well, you can only have 3 saves, but yeah, I'm trying to be judicious, and I'm sure you guys are too. Well, it's most of us.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah.
I'm just trying not to be forgetful.
Yeah. I don't want to lose 2 hours.
I guess I should have saved a long time ago.
Yeah. Don't want to lose a couple hours on accident.
So we got a couple more feedback coming up. Do you want to move maybe Clint ahead or something? We've got a really long one coming up next. I figure maybe put a few more first.
Yeah, if you want to. We can hop up to Clint. Hey, bud.
G'day all. Clint again with my character Peterson. On travelling away from Sanctuary Hills, Peterson discovered her looks and tough jumpsuit have given her a major advantage in dealing with some of the perils of the Commonwealth. For instance, a travelling merchant named Carla took a liking to her straight away and offered discount prices, and when she confronted some suspect-looking drug dealers outside a diner, they gave her all their caps and ran away. She backtracked a little after this, and in Concord she helped out a small band of travellers trapped in the local museum. Once inside, and after some fighting, Peterson met with one Preston Garvey, the last of what he called the Minutemen. His ideals seemed to coincide with her past life of doing her bit for the country, and so, after successfully escorting them back to Sanctuary Hills, she decided to join Preston and help rekindle the Minutemen. To start with, this involved travelling on foot to various places and setting up settlements for the locals, on the condition that they return the favours when needed. This has taken up all Peterson's time and energy and has helped to get over the loss of her husband and kidnapping of her baby, the latter never being far from her mind. In fact, when she managed to save a rather strange-looking detective, he invited her back to his office to take up her case. She'll get there soon. In the meantime, she's helped set up around 20 settlements, and her reputation amongst them is improving. So much so that every time she reports a successful mission back to Preston, there is another settlement requiring her assistance. What is this? Some kind of game? Speaking of which, Peterson is now at level 31. She has her assigned companion Curie up to 100% and is working on romancing Macready, currently at 75%. To do this required a mod that allowed multiple companions, and early on I experimented with adding them all, ending up with an entourage of 7 followers: Curie, Macready, Dogmeat, Piper, Kate, Preston, and from another mod, Dr. Robert Picardo. But this made progress a little unwieldy, especially when they all crowded into a lift together. It was hard to get back out. So Dogmeat, Preston, Piper and Kate now live happily at the Sunshine Tidings commune. My assigned settlement was the Slog, and though it's been set up, it's a bit far for walking everywhere, which is why they called it the Slog, of course. In my gameplay, I'm keeping most of the survival difficulty traits, including needing food and water, sleeping in a bed to save, and travelling everywhere on foot. The upgrades I've allowed myself are a decent pistol and armoured outfit for Peterson, as well as having a travelling doctor companion, in addition to the 2 assigned characters. Between them, they have to do a lot of carrying for her, as her strength is still low and carry weight is terrible. So I'm looking forward to attempting the upcoming assigned quest in the next few weeks. See you all in the wasteland.
Yeah, getting out of an elevator. I loved having, 7 companions with me. I've definitely done that route in the past. But getting out of the elevator, it's not, getting through doorways and stuff can be a little bit of a pickle. But getting, I had to load the push companions mod at one point because just no matter what I tried, I just couldn't get out of an elevator. That's hilarious. He's going through that. So Clint, thank you so much. 20 settlements already. That's pretty dang impressive.
That is really impressive. Yeah.
That's great, bud. So yeah, like you mentioned, we'll be getting into some real questing here in just a couple weeks. So glad he's getting everything settled for that. And yeah, the Slog, like Swear I'm Normal mentioned, like all the ones on the northern side. Yeah, the Slog, especially if you're not using any sort of fast travel or anything, it's a hassle to get up to that place to dump stuff and have interact with your settlers and whatnot.
Yeah, not if you've got Aqua Boy, Aqua Girl.
Oh yeah, just swim up the coast. Yeah. Love that Aqua Boy.
Gotta love a swim up settlement.
So yeah, it's the swim up bar with the swim up settlement. Super, super fancy. All right, so let's roll into Mr. Sullivan. Hey Sully, been a bit, buddy. How's it going?
Hello, Fallout Feed. Sully here with my first feedback of our Fallout 4 survival playthrough. My character, Stewart, whose actual name is Nora Elizabeth Stewart. She thinks her parents named her that because of their love for vintage video game systems. But anyway, she's been a lifelong career service member. Hence why she just goes by Stewart, because of a lifetime of being called by her surname, it just feels comfortable. She starts out in her home with her spouse and her child. The sirens go off. The nuclear attack is coming. They run out, and she decides to ignore the warnings of the military personnel and run past the carrier and try to go exit out of Sanctuary, which automatically triggers the nuclear detonation. She becomes a KFC menu item, extra crispy. So after she is reincarnated, she decides to go ahead and go into the vault and follow the directions of the army personnel there. Her and her husband and her child go into the vault, and she becomes a popsicle, wakes up long enough to see her spouse killed and her child taken, becomes a popsicle again, and then wakes up after the machines have malfunctioned. She looks around the vault and finds that all the other residents that went in with her are dead, and she is the only one that's still alive, save a few rad roaches along the way. She gathers up what weapons and supplies she can find, takes a moment to just grieve a little bit, but then quickly composes herself and realizes there's a bigger task at hand. She needs to find out what is going on and where her child is. So she heads out of the vault, comes out into the area around the vault, scans for any supplies, and then heads for home. She figures maybe she can get some answers, and who knows, maybe Sean will be there, but that's her first place she decides to go. She ends up in Sanctuary, just witnessing and trying to take in all the destruction and just how her life has changed. She runs across their old Mr. Handy Codsworth, and she starts to ask him questions about what's going on. Has she seen Sean when she is informed that she has been in the vault for 200 years? It takes a minute, and she really can't fathom that it's been that long, but she shakes it off and wants to focus on her task of finding Sean. So she sets up in Sanctuary a temporary base, gathers up a little bit of supplies, and creates some storage. And then Codsworth tells her he hasn't seen anything, but maybe she could go to Concord and might be able to find something down there or somebody that saw something. So she heads to Concord and finds there's some people held up in the museum being attacked by raiders. She kills the raiders outside, goes in, kills all the raiders inside, speaks with the people that were locked in the room upstairs. She finds a man named Preston Garvey, a leader of some group called the Minutemen, and a couple of settlers with him. He fills her in on his story and what happened, and said that they were just trying to make a life there in Concord, but it doesn't seem to be safe. Which I don't understand, because now that you've killed all the raiders, Concord wouldn't be any more dangerous than Sanctuary would be, 15 feet up the street, but whatever. So she tells them she will accompany them to Sanctuary. They tell her about a suit of power armor on the roof and where she might be able to find the fusion core for it. Luckily, she had already unlocked the cage downstairs and had the core with her. She gets the suit of power armor, grabs the minigun off the vertibird, takes out some of the raiders that are left outside, but then she hears the beast coming around the corner. There's this huge monstrosity, apparently known as a death claw, and it proceeds to kill all the rest of the raiders for her, which
Nice.
she figured that was at least one good thing. So she goes down and battles the beast. Between her and her dog that she had picked up from the gas station on the way, they are able to take down the death claw with not too big of a struggle, but it wasn't exactly easy either. Once it is taken care of, she gets with Preston. He thanks her for taking care of things, and they make their way to Sanctuary. She gets them settled at Sanctuary, and then Preston said there's another settlement that could really use her help since she knows how to handle herself. He sends her to Ten Pines Bluff. She goes to Ten Pines Bluff, speaks with the residents, and they say they're having problems with the raiders that are attacking them. So they wanted her to go to the old Corvega assembly plant. She says she will, but she doesn't do it right away because she doesn't have the ammunition, supplies, and gear to go take on a group that size.
Yeah, and
so she
fuck
does some
Corvega.
running around and exploring through Concord and the surrounding area, and tries to gather up all the supplies and medicines and everything that she can to prepare for this fight. She finally has everything together, goes to the Corvega assembly plant to scope it out. She's able to snipe off most of the raiders on the external catwalks and different various places around the building.
He makes it
She
sound
sneaks
easy.
around and makes sure the outside area is clear. By then, she's overloaded with stuff, so she wants to go back to Sanctuary to unload and to repair her gear to get ready to take on the inside of the building. So she does that, comes back, goes through the inside of the building, is able to kill the raider boss, Jared, pretty early on, but she knows she can't leave the rest of the raiders there. Even though they're leaderless, they're still a threat. So she goes throughout the building and continues to kill every raider in the place, and even a couple ghouls. So now that the Corvega assembly plant is clear, she goes back to Ten Pines Bluff and tells them that they won't have any more problems. And they said they had talked about it and they want to join the Minutemen as well and be under their protection. So she heads back to Sanctuary, tells Preston that they have decided to join the Minutemen. She is taking care of the problem for them. And then she heads out to do some more exploring and try to gather some more materials because she knows she's going to need it in the upcoming search for Sean. She runs across the old drive-in and gets attacked by some mole rats, takes all them out, and looks around and figures that this would be a good place for another base. So she sets up shop and starts building up around the drive-in, puts in a water purifier system, starts building some building walls, places a bed and some storage. And as she's cleaning up the yard area, she finds a good dirt spot, puts a little water pump in as well so she can fill up her bottles, and then finds out that there's a invisible spawning frag mine there. And as she is trying to pump water in the middle of the animation, she explodes and dies.
Yep.
So she lost a good bit of progress, reincarnated
Oh.
once again, and has to go through the whole spiel again. Well, this time she knows to save before getting anywhere close to the water pump.
Whoops.
So she decides to move it back so she doesn't step on this bomb that just happens to respawn there whenever it feels like it. So she is finished there. She has her another base, and she is getting ready for the next task that she's sure Preston will have for her, along with trying to continue her search for Sean. So before going back to Preston and getting some more jobs from him, because he's so busy standing there walking around in circles that he can't do anything, she decides that she needs to go to a bigger settlement to get some more ammunition and supplies because she's just not being able to find enough in the wasteland. She is told by Preston about Diamond City, and she makes that her target. After she heads that way, she makes it to Diamond City with fairly with ease, picking up a suit of power armor along the way that was near a crashed vertibird in the water. She gets all the way to the outskirts of Diamond City and finds the guards in a firefight with some super mutants. Well, first thing she does is get played like a vuvuzela by one of the super mutant hounds. I'll let you decide which one made the sound. So she starts back over at Starlight Drive-In, heads back to Diamond City again. She gets killed by a super mutant. Rinse, repeat. This time she decides to step on the frag mine and blow herself up twice.
What's the choice?
Oh, man.
Finally, the 6th time, she is able to help the guards kill the super mutants and actually survive to make it into Diamond City.
Good Lord.
And that's where she's at now, getting to know Piper, whom she met outside the gate, and loading up with her supplies. I'm sorry this one might be a little long, but it's really 2 feedbacks worth.
It is.
And I'll look forward to the next update of Stuart, and I will see you in the wasteland.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mr. Sullivan. He is having trouble with mines and bombs and such, it seems like.
Yeah, they are a danger out there, especially in survival mode. Everything will kill you so much faster.
Was he using any sort of extra save or anything, or just he's,
Not that I'm
winging it
aware of.
and reloading? God damn, that would piss me off to, get built and, I always hated when I would build for like an hour and then like build a tower and then in build mode you don't see quite the edge and then you fall off and die and you're like, oh fuck.
That's the danger. I get more mad. I get more mad losing when I'm constructing a settlement for an hour and then forget to save and the game crashes than I do if I'm out there adventuring. Like, that is the worst.
He mentioned a bomb, a mine that just randomly comes back, respawns itself.
No, he's talking about the one on the edge of Starlight that I ran into myself the last time, and we talked about it a bit in the Discord chat. Yeah, it just because he reloaded it came back. I don't think it magically comes back on its own. I think he might have just not cleared it.
Woof.
He's saying they keep spawning. I don't know why that would happen.
My goodness.
It might just be his game.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Sully. Great for you to chip in.
What's up? So the nice thing about these feedbacks is that they're very affirming for me in my decision to leave Preston sitting in the museum and not even going anywhere near him.
Yeah. You don't get constantly berated.
Trouble. Nothing but trouble. Can hear it in every single person's feedback. He's killed so many of our players that, he should have a bounty on his head.
Ooh, that's a fun twist on it. Kill Preston.
There's a mod for that.
Ooh, I bet you there is. There's a mod for goddamn everything.
Yeah, don't put a bounty on his head. He wouldn't last a minute, man.
Don't take any fortune cookies from Preston.
Play the next feedback. Get me out of here.
Get you out of here. Let's check in with Katniss.
Hi, Fallout Feed. It's Katherine here with Everdeen. She is level 20 now, and I have all of her assigned perks. And instead of putting some of perk points into things that I thought I would want to put perk points in, I'm actually finding that I'm putting my perk points into the assigned perks, just subsequent levels of them. So I've put more perk points into things like Gunslinger, Life Giver, and 4-Leaf Clover so far. And that's really cool. I'm normally a commando style build. I really like Overseer's Guardian. That always seems to be the end game weapon I go with. So I've never done a pistol build before, and this is really fun so far. I also rely heavily on VATs, but I've never used criticals before a lot, so it's fun to kind of play around with those and see what I can do with those. I am trying to build my charisma up so that I can get local leader. That will help a lot with the resources because I have no carry weight, so I can never pick anything up, and it's kind of obnoxious, but I'm enjoying it. I still have pretty low endurance. The Life Giver has helped, but it's probably just a survival thing, but it seems like more characters have Molotovs on them, and one of those just absolutely takes me out, which I'm getting used to, but I still feel super flimsy no matter where I go, even at level 20. some of the things that I've been doing more, I've done Backstreet Apparel. Oberlin Station asked me to take care of those. It seems like they send me there every single time I do a playthrough, so I don't know if that's scripted or not. I did Hardware Town for Abbott. I did get him the green paint, not the wrong color. I rescued Nick from Park Street Station. I thought I would have more problems with the Triggermen, but I ended up being just fine. I just went slow and took my time.
Nice.
I got
Good
the
advice.
baseball items for Mo. That was fun. Is there supposed to be more than like 2 Mirelurks that spawn there? Because that was all I had, was 2 Mirelurks and some hatchlings. I felt like I was missing some enemies. I also went to Forest Grove Marsh, and I picked up a new companion. His name is Birdie. I don't remember him from a regular playthrough, so I'm guessing it's Tales of the Commonwealth or one of the mods I have loaded. But he's pretty funny. I did Confidence Man, so I helped Travis with Beantown Brewery. I got the locket for Abernathy Farms in Station Olivia. And then I also ended up killing Kellogg. I thought I would wait a little bit longer to do this, but I just went ahead and did it while I was at Fort Hagen. I ended up just using my 10mm pistol that I have had since the beginning of the game. I've just been kind of collecting mods off of 10mm that I pick up. And I just took a buff jet and then shot him a bunch of times before he could turn the stealth boy on. So that was fun. I seem to be using more chems in survival, like buff jet, psycho jet. I like the ones that slow time. They seem the most beneficial for me. I'm also having a lot of fun with sim settlements. I'm building a lot of like little organized areas for housing plots to go, and I never really spent time building in Fallout 4. I love building in Fallout 76, but this is the first time I've really spent time giving the settlers actual houses instead of just beds in the broken houses of Sanctuary. I've also been playing around with some more sarcastic responses just to see what the dialogue is like. I normally play a hero type character, and I'm not saying that Everdeen is more of a villain type character, but I could see her giving some sass in a while, so it's just kind of fun to see what the responses are from people when you give them the sarcastic option. I have also been crashing a lot. I did download the Boston Less Enemies, but my trek from Diamond City to Good Neighbor took about 2 or 3 hours the other night because I crashed every 2 minutes. I am a little frustrated about it, but it's okay. We're going to work through it. I've gotten through the part of needing to be in Good Neighbor, so I think I'm just going to take some time away from Boston and do some of the surrounding locations and come back to it when I've maybe solidified some better mods to help with the crashing. It might just be a mod that I have loaded that's bothering my Xbox, but this is the worst I've ever seen it crashing in downtown Boston. And then lastly, a mod that I did really like that I didn't talk about in my last feedback was Minuteman Watchtowers. I found it in a past playthrough, but this is the first time I've used it. It's really cool. It just adds a bunch of watchtowers around the borders of the map. And then apparently once you take the castle, which I haven't done yet, I feel like I'm a little too flimsy for that, but once you take the castle, they become filled with Minutemen again. And they have pretty good loot in them, nothing too OP or anything, but it's just a fun little lore-friendly addition. They're pretty cool looking, so if you're looking for another mod that might spice up your Minuteman playthrough, that one is a good one. And I think that is it, so I will see you all in the Wasteland.
Awesome.
Bye.
Thank you, Katherine. Good to hear from Everdeen again. VATS crits, as you said, you haven't really used VATS crits much, and that's well, congratulations. You've now found the wondrousness that is the VATS crits. The critical
It's so
banker,
good.
4-leaf clover, all that shit. Oh, love that. To get into your local leader, everything. Mo with the Mirelurks. You know, it's been forever since I did most stuff. What, you have to fetch him some baseball gear, I assume?
Yeah, you got to get him the special. He wants he wants what? He wants a special signed ball. He wants a special swata. There are a couple
swata.
things, right, Ray?
Yeah, I think a mitt maybe
He sends you to multiple locations, and I feel like there is one that only has a couple of Mirelurks and spawn, but the majority of them, she's absolutely right, have 4 to 5 Mirelurks down there. I remember the main place he sends you to.
Yeah, it's that little playground where you climb on the gem and pick off the Mirelurks. Yeah, it seems to me there's usually more than just 2.
Yeah, so the quest is out in left field, right? Where that happens, you get the baseball, you get the mitt, you get the card. Yeah, I remember it kind of being a bit of a broken down house too, right? Like the house and
yeah, there's a house there.
Yep. Yeah, so I do think that she was shorted enemies a little bit.
So if you just chat with Mo, does he?
Darn.
Does he? If you just chat with Mo a little bit, does he give you that quest, or do you have to do something to unlock him?
No,
I'm pretty sure you just
talk to him
him
about it. Yeah.
Okay. I agree with Katherine that I like the time slowing way, especially in survival mode. I'm using a lot of the jet and psycho jet and buff jet, that sort of stuff. I like the slowing down things when they're rushing you is a big benefit. I like that.
Yeah.
She doesn't like to build in Fallout 4, but loves it in 76. Jess, what's your opinion about that?
Well, I think she's saying that now she's gotten into it a little bit more, that she learned to love it in 76, and going back, she's actually giving them, actual beds and houses and such.
Yeah.
I get it. I've said before, but when I went back to Fallout 4 and saw settlements and stuff I was proud of, after playing in 76 along and all that detail, I'm just like, what was I thinking?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's horrible. Like, just what we put up with in Fallout 4 in the early days of building, with all that grass poking through everywhere and like all the trash and rubble and just, and how nasty it was and how difficult that build menu was comparatively to get to all the decorations and such.
I prefer the Fallout 4 build menu. 76 is just like, oh, here's a column with 712 items. Good luck scrolling down and finding.
If you have an item shop addiction, like some of us do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't counted the items in floor decor again recently. If you remember last time I counted, it was around 400.
It's like,
but
what?
It's been a little over a year.
Goddamn. Yeah, so there could be 700 by now. Good Lord.
Yeah, there could be. But no, I like the 76 build menu better. I like the new column. The new column is excellent.
Yes.
The recently used column is excellent.
Yeah.
Being able to go up and down and back and forth. I think it's easier to navigate. But yeah, I'm with her that building in 4, as much as it's where I learned to like building, I like it a lot more in 76.
Wow. Sorry you're crashing, Katherine. That sucks. I think
it's the worst.
She have a Gen 1 Xbox, or
I actually pinged her in Discord to kind of check in on that because, I mean, it is a known thing right now that for Xbox players, it is the worst state it's been the last 2 years. It has to do with at some point during the upgrades, updates, the Creation Club stuff they've added, it got crashier and crashier. I mean, it was running fine on old gen Xbox when it came out, of course, where most of us played it to start. I mean, or, PC or PlayStation. But point being, that's all we could play at the time, and it was fine. But since 2019 or so, it's gotten crashier on Xbox for sure. The Xbox One, Xbox One S, and even Xbox Series S. And not sure all the reasons why. So there are mods we can use to fix it. It's specific areas. Like I said, it is Faneuil Hall. Yeah. It is Haymarket Square. It is those areas immediately around there. But if you're crashing on the way to Good Neighbor, maybe try the insignificant item. Maybe try using actually upgraded textures, which, believe it or not, make it run better because some of the default textures for Boston are really high res and tax your system.
Oh. And I like going the sarcastic route. It's fun. Using different pathways through the conversation tree. So, hey, that's awesome, Katherine. Thank you so much for playing along, and looking forward to hearing more of your feedback coming up.
Oh, one more thing.
Minuteman watchtowers are definitely cool.
Yeah, that sounds fun. I haven't looked at those. That sounds cool.
I like Ranger watchtowers. I've got a few. I don't have the Minutemen ones. Those sound awesome. I did want to mention, she mentioned Birdie too. And yes, that is definitely Tales from the Commonwealth. Cool companion. A lot of people like them. And I think Birdie is one of the 2 companions that were added for Tales that now has lines for Far Harbor as well. So if you like them, bring them along.
Take them on. All right. Let's check in with Bruce and his character, Steven.
Hi, Followed Feed. It's Bruce with a report on Steven. We're hanging in, but we're only level 7. And he is with, I don't know if it's the low intelligence, but it just seems like it's a slog. It's a bit of a slog. But Steven was a superstar of the vault. He didn't die until he met the Deathclaw. He just stood in the middle of the street in the power armor and mowed the thing down coming at him. And he did it on the second try. It only took about 500 rounds, I think, of like 1,300, so not bad. He really loves the power armor minigun combo. And I think it plays into his whole psychology because he's stupid and he's rude. And I think it's because, in high school, he was one of the high school heroes, Glory Days thing and all that. And then ever since then, everybody just calls him stupid and nobody respects him for anything anymore. So he wants, he needs to feel like he's got some power again. And the power armor and the minigun, wow. So he thinks he's super smart. He used to tell people, before the bombs dropped, that he was a robotics tech at Corvega. And he did work at Corvega. But as far as being a robotics tech, really, all he did was clean the Mr. Handies that worked there for the cleaning fleet. So he was like a cleaner. And it was like the best job that he could get. So that's what it was. So he does have some skill with tools and stuff like that. But if the workbench didn't do all the planning and all the building pretty much for you, he'd be lost. So I think his personality reminds me of Biff in Back to the Future.
It's leave, you idiot. Make like a tree and leave.
But later on, after he's like all grown up and successful, and then subsequently humbled, hopefully. So he's met Piper. And we're at the point where I would have started to work toward the Lone Wanderer perk. I think I'm going to put that off for now and move on to Ghoulish so I can start working on Endurance, because that's going to have to help. I'm dying a lot to things like mole rats, and it can get annoying, but it does also give you kind of a sense of excitement, because you can die at any moment. My guns, what am I using? I'm using the laser musket still from Preston. Preston and the gang are at Covenant, a little, so there's a small settlement there. I've got a little bit of crops. I spent some time there as far as building Sanctuary up. But I didn't build any large structures or anything like that, just, beds and maybe a turret or two. I have no money. I have no resources. It costs too much to carry anything anywhere. So I'm just doing it slowly. And it is fun, but I'm just worried that I'm not going to be ready for Nuka World and Far Harbor when it comes time to do that stuff. Going back to the weapons, the other one that I am enjoying using is the 10mm. I am looking forward to finding a suppressor for that. That's what I really need. I have the Diamond City Guard armor, except for the legs. And I think one leg is a raider leg and the other leg is a leather leg, so my armor does not look great. But, you use what you can find. And the last thing that I wanted to mention was the mods/cheats that I'm using. I have Dave's Settlement Fast Travel, which I will probably never use. After I put it in my load order, I thought maybe I shouldn't have bothered, because it's going to take me so long to get local leader and establish supply routes that it's going to be like an end game thing before I could possibly use the fast travel option that is linked to having supply routes. I have the campsite mod, and I have a tent in my inventory, but I haven't used it yet, so I'm still not sure how that works. I have survival options as a mod, which means that I can have saves, and I also have to confess that I did change one setting. There is settings for the damage that you do and that gets done to you, and the defaults, and I believe they're probably the defaults for the survival mode, are 1.5 times. You do 1.5 times damage to your enemies, and your enemies do 2 times damage to you in survival mode. So I changed my damage to 2 times as well, because I'm not getting punked by some mole rats, even though I keep getting punked by mole rats. And then I have 2 more mods. I have Give Me My Leftovers, which is kind of like, it's the same as Give Me Back My Bottle, but you get a whole lot more than that back when you're eating and stuff. And the last mod that I have is Ballistic Weave. I hear that that's going to be very important later on. I've never played this game through before.
Wow.
I tried
okay.
before once with the Roundtable, but I didn't make it that far in. And anyway, so I have a mod that adds Ballistic Weave to Super Mutant Armor. So I shouldn't have any trouble finding that later on in the game. I'm having a great time, and I am very much looking forward to hearing everybody else's feedback this week. Everyone hang in there. Keep giving that feedback. And follow feeders. You guys keep it up, too.
No,
you're doing a great job.
No one spoil it for him. Don't tell him about the Super Mutant Armor, okay?
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
You put that on, Bruce. Good luck with that.
Local leader, he started with a charisma of 1.
Oh, good lord!
Yeah, so he has to gain 5 levels plus a point. That's 7.
Was that as a side one? No way.
No.
What did Steve set the factor at?
So he's talking about, settlement fast travel and how he installed the mod to be able to do it with supply lines like we have.
He's not going to be able to use it though, right?
Right. I mean, he could probably do it mid-game if he focused on it, but I'm with him. It's interesting hearing the different mods that he's using there, and some that, he just added just in case. Like, that's how I was too. Survival mode is a little scary. You got to have a bit of a security blanket going in. A couple mods you may not use. Totally get it. Mm-hmm. Talking about the damage, that sounds fair what he's doing. So the default output damage, he mentioned 1.5. These are actually based on the hard difficulty setting. So compared to vanilla, I think it's already a little bit higher. But yeah, so when it says 2 times enemy damage, I think it's actually 4 times vanilla, because I think it's twice as hard as very hard. And the 1.5 is, I think, the same as your standard very hard damage output. Do you guys know any differently? I'm looking it up right now to see if I can find the exact figures, but I think that's it.
Sounds redonk.
Yeah.
I like his leftovers mod, because it's similar to like when you drink a Nuka-Cola, you don't immediately smash the bottle, you get the bottle back. But I'm wondering, when you eat the food, it's like, give me back my leftovers. Like, so I'm curious what he's getting back. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Probably some plastic,
or the cans. Like he's getting the cans back after. Yeah, I was gonna say like a Mirelurk chunk or something. I don't know. But yeah,
it's called leftovers.
If he eats cram, he's getting a 10 can back or something like that. Maybe
if you examine it in inventory and click the right stick button and you do the lookup, how it looks like a little Chinese takeout container.
Yeah. He's looking for a 10 millimeter with a suppressor, and I immediately thought of the railroad. Go do the railroad stuff. You get the Deliverer, has like a bunch of good stuff on it. Then I was thinking, what suppressor, what does that actually mean? Is that a silencer? What's the difference between a silencer and a suppressor?
Oh, on the gun?
Because there's not anything called a silencer in the game.
Yeah, for the in general, it's just those mean the same thing.
They mean the same thing. It's
just people suppressor is more accurate.
Yeah, people who don't know anything about guns use the word silencer, right?
No, it's suppressor.
I said people who don't know anything about guns use the word silencer. Yeah. So people like me call it a silencer, but really suppressor is more accurate.
Oh, that makes sense. I mean, they got the other ones there too, like the compensator and stuff. So I mean, they're neat mods for sure, but the suppressor is definitely best.
And he said he has a tent mod. It's in his inventory. He hasn't used it yet, but the tent, the one I have at least, it's like you toss something like a mine and it just lands at your feet, and poof, a tent pops up and gives you a little slinky back to sleep in. So, hey, Bruce, good to hear from you, sir. Thank you so much for sending your feedback. Hope to hear from you in the near future.
Yeah, love that this is first time going through. That is awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty baffling too, right? Like, how have you not played this? Favorite Fallout? I love this game. How what has he been playing? He's into
Listens to the
76
show.
a
He's
lot?
obviously played some, but
Yeah.
but not that far. So it's
Must be a
funny
76
people
fan.
doing survival their first playthrough. With us, like our
Lord.
friend Soph too. She hasn't sent in feedback, but she's playing for the first time, and now she started a survival character with us too.
Can you imagine your first time? Oof. Gluttons for punishment.
Yeah, Sullivan in chat saying essentially my first playthrough too. He hasn't made it that
Wow,
far.
you guys. Bold. Speaking of bold.
Hey, Fallout fam. Will here to talk a little bit more about Bond. Been playing a lot, just loving survival mode, but not near enough time to get into all the quests I've done, actually, but I have plenty of other stuff I want to talk about. I mentioned last time that he did not have a backstory yet. I was going to just try to figure out who he was as I played him, let it come to me. And he doesn't really have much of a backstory. He was sort of a normal guy before the war. He was a dentist living in the suburbs, and that's it. And now that he's out of the vault and discovering what the wasteland is like, and I think this works with survival, he's getting his butt kicked just all over the place. But he's very, very intelligent, and he will just have to learn how to adapt, learn some combat skills if he wants to survive. Because he's a dentist, he thought he had found a market specializing in dentistry for ghouls. So he went to Diamond City and was going to set up his little dentist practice down there at Home Plate. And I downloaded that mod, Diamond City Penthouse, to be his residence in the evening. But Mayor McDonald vanquished all the ghouls, kicked them out, so can't do that. Maybe he'll set up another practice over there by the slog or something. Also, quickly, if anyone knows a mod that will let me put a little dentist sign, like a dentist office, Bond Dentistry, something like that on the outside of Home Plate, that would be cool. Shout out to Soph there in the Facebook. She came up with a name for his dentist called Caps for Caps. I thought it was very funny, but Bond is a little bit more traditional than that. So he's currently level 25. I have at least 1 point in all the assigned perks except for Heavy Gunner. Mentioned that doesn't mix with Mr. Sandman and a couple of the others, but I will be switching to it and putting points into it when we get to Nuka World later on. Mr. Sandman, Pickpocket, and Animal Friends, I have points in them, and second at Pickpocket even, and I have not used any of them once, except for actually one time I did pacify one dog in Animal Friends. I've tried to pacify a couple of Yaogwai, and it has failed. I have second rank in Aqua Boy, but I tend not to use the waterways that much. I must just like getting up in trouble in the land and all that stuff. All that. And it bit me the other day. I was down by Somerville Place, and I had just finished doing Vault 95, finishing Kate's quest. And I was like, okay, let me go back to Sanctuary so I can drop Kate off and pick Preston back up, because Preston was my assigned follower, but I accidentally got Kate when I went to Combat Zone. It felt wrong leaving her there. It's not like leaving Hancock and Goodneighbor or Piper and Diamond City where they have like a nice little setup going. So I took Kate with me, and then I accidentally did her entire thing, got her affinity all the way maxed out. And so I was going to go drop her off and get Preston back so I could go and then get my romance Curie, who, by the way, I was looking into the pickpocket perk I have, and Curie hates pickpocketing, so she's just going to have to learn to love Bond despite his kleptomania. Anyways, I was going from Somerville Place, and I went through all sorts of things. I killed some Yaogwai and Rad Scorpion and some gunners up over on the bridge, but those guys are too tough. One of those fell off the bridge there and fell all the way down, and in my head I'm thinking, oh, well, there's at least one I don't have to fight. And he got up and just started shooting. I think he had a broken leg, and that was it. My character would have been so dead. So I went through, killed a whole bunch of things, and I even passed up settlements I could have slept at, Grey Garden, Oberlin Station, Sunshine Tidings, and I don't know, I didn't want to sleep. I think I wanted to just get my adrenaline up, and I thought I could make it and all that, but I finally got to Sanctuary, and I'm like, whew, made it. And I go, and then at some point, I don't know what I did. I accidentally scrapped all the workbenches there, so they weren't there, so I was like, okay, well, let me run over here to Red Rocket real quick. And as I was crossing the bridge from Sanctuary to Red Rocket, a pack of Super Mutant Hounds are crossing over, and they kill my character. So,
oh no!
That was pretty dumb by me to pass up all those beds.
Oh, Will.
Another weird thing I did at Sanctuary, I tried to use that Vault Tech population thing that Steve was talking about to assign my settlers to their various things, and I went to do it, and it said I had a few unassigned workers, and all I really have is a a whole bunch of plants and stuff. My characters are playing as a vegetarian, so I have some extra food mods in just to be able to plant more stuff. Like I have like pear trees and apple trees and stuff in Sanctuary.
Oh, nice.
It's still kind of difficult to keep up with all the food. The only thing I am doing is when I wake up after a long rest, he will take a canned dog food. That way, I'm role playing. Is it that he's feeding dog meat? But anyway, so when I was using that Vault-Tec thing, I was like, all right, let me send all these assigned people to do the farming. I thought they were just going to like farm some of the stuff around Sanctuary, but I don't know, when I went over later to the Red Rocket, like they were all over, they had moved to Red Rocket. It was Mama Murphy and Preston Garvey and everyone at Red Rocket. And so I was like, okay, well, I went into workshop mode, moved them all back to Sanctuary, but it would not let me move Mama Murphy. I guess you can't move her from wherever it is. And it would not let me build her a chair. I was trying to find her chair. I went back to Sanctuary. It's like, is her chair here? And I couldn't find her chair anywhere. I guess I had never built her chair at all in Sanctuary, so it moved her. But she was just sort of stuck at Red Rocket until I gave her some Psycho, or Jet, I mean. And then she did the thing to ask me to make her chair, and I built her chair back over in Sanctuary, and she finally went over. But at first, I thought she was going to be stuck at Red Rocket for a while with Kate, because that's where I'm dropping Kate off. Mentioned accidentally being stuck with her, and I felt bad that she did all this stuff and confided in me, and like she's like, oh, I can finally trust someone. And I told her, she's my best friend, instead of romancing her at least. But this way, I'm just going to set her up in a nice place and come back and check up on her and let her know that we're still friends. But then I realized, Kate and Mama Murphy, they don't, maybe with their drug use history, not a good couple to be tied up together in the same place. I just gave Mama Murphy the Jet finally, and I don't know if that's what kicked her off to make you build her chair. I don't know why she never asked me for her chair before. I definitely talked to her, but after I gave her the Jet, then she asked me to make her chair. And so I made her chair back over at Sanctuary, and she walked all the way back over there. Yeah. And so now I want to go get a dog for Kate, so it can just be Kate and a dog there at Red Rocket. I saw Gene, and I tried to buy a dog from Gene, but at first he was going to sell it to me. I guess my charisma wasn't high enough, because he changed his mind and said, no, never mind. A couple of other things. The only points I'll put into things that are not assigned is Strongback, trying to get that to rank 4. It's currently at 2. For anyone that doesn't know in survival, it says that rank 4 means you can fast travel. Of course, there's no fast travel in survival. But what it does instead is it means you don't take damage. So that way you can be unencumbered, use action points to walk around at normal speed and not take damage. So that's trying to get to that. I used local leader to get the supply lines going, which I almost all, well, not all the settlements. I have 10 settlements picked up. And I sent a ghoul over to the Slog to be their supply line person, and they seem to take pride in the fact that they're an entire ghoul settlement. The same as Grey Garden is robots. I wanted to do robots. I thought about sending Codsworth over there, but then it's like, man, Codsworth had been in Sanctuary for 200 years, and he stuck around. I felt bad doing that to him. So as soon as we get to the automatron stuff, I can make robots, I'll have one of those to be the provisioner. And of course, chemistry, I had to get that first rank of chemistry so I can craft my antibiotics, and also refreshing beverage, which was a really awesome one to craft.
Yeah.
It can, if you take one of those, it's almost all your health back and almost all your radiation gone and all your diseases, maybe not all your diseases, but all your addictions cured and a bunch of this stuff. The refreshing beverage is a very good one. Oh, yeah, except for one last thing is I heard people talking about they get the little skull icons over their enemies. And I don't know, my game hasn't been like that. I don't even know if I approach someone, I don't even know whether they're an enemy or not, because it doesn't say whether it's a settler or a gunner or what. I have to just kind of get close and wait and see if they start to attack. And then when I do, I have no idea what their health is, how much it goes. And I don't know if they're legendary, which that has killed me a couple of times, because I get up and I think, okay, I have to only need another shot or two to take this person out. And I go, and then I get that little notice, legendary person has remorphed, or what, I forgot what it says. And I'm like, damn, and then they're usually at full health and they kill me. So I started looking into, because I have that mod, the immersive HUD that turns it off. I tried to mess with all the settings in there, and I could not find which one it was, what could be doing that, and I gave up. But I don't know. I must have done something because I turned it when my game came back on. I now get the enemy indicators, and it's so much nicer. Okay, see you in the wasteland.
Holy cow, Will. Lots of stuff to get into there. It would be insane to try to fight stuff without knowing their health meter.
That's how I played the first 6-7 hours of my session too. Remember when I did the death claw and stuff like that? I had no idea about his health or status or anything. Yeah, and it is a setting in iHUD. In the more settings, I'm pretty sure that's where it was. And sometimes it doesn't apply. So probably you went through, you flipped the setting to turn it off, but it didn't actually apply to your game again, unless you reloaded. And then once you reloaded, it was working. But yeah, I had the same thing for the first at least 5 hours while I played.
Refreshing beverage. That sounds sweet.
Yes.
Use that. How does adrenaline work? Because he's mentioned he didn't want to sleep so he could build up his adrenaline. Right. Tell me about adrenaline. How does that work in survival mode?
Well, Ray, you're probably the expert on it, right?
No, I just know that with every kill, without sleeping, you build up adrenaline.
The formula is every 5 kills, you get 5% more adrenaline. And there's a max of 50 plus 50 adrenaline. So it is something I've been watching pretty closely because I like having the adrenaline up. But the problem is that your character, obviously, if you're not sleeping, because every time you sleep, you lose a couple levels. If you do a long sleep and get well rested, you lose a number of levels. So you kill 5 enemies, you get that adrenaline. It really helps a lot.
It increases damage or what? What does adrenaline actually?
Yes, 5% more damage. So every 5 enemies you kill, you get 5% more damage, up to 50% more damage all the time.
Nice.
Yeah, it's huge. That's why I'm liking it. But of course, when you get tired, you get your minus 5% AP. When you get overtired, you get the minus 15% and all that. So I've been balancing it with Nuka-Cola. So just like real life.
Yeah,
that caffeinated effect.
What does caffeinated do again? Because I've seen, you feel the caffeine rush through your veins or whatever.
Caffeinated negates sleep effects for a period of time.
Oh,
but
okay.
It doesn't actually, while it will push it off, it doesn't actually get rid of it. So I don't know when it comes back, if it comes back stronger or it just basically adds up to where you would have been otherwise. But it's been working for me to put it off, having a couple of Nuka-Colas before I can sleep.
I've never seen Gene deny me a dog. Is that a charisma level check?
Yeah, Charisma 5.
Charisma 5 you have to have. Okay. Well, I almost always have local leader, so that's probably why it explains why my...
Yeah.
And Gene, for anyone out there who doesn't know, he's a dog collector / salesman, I guess, who's a random encounter wandering around out there. Does he have a certain pathway, or is he just totally random anywhere?
Yeah, just in a random spawn spot.
Spawn spot.
We've often talked about that, because I always meet him on the west side of the map, but other people have met him other places, so...
I'm always on the east. I ran into him just below County Crossing in my playthrough here. Strong back in survival mode sounds great because I'm constantly healing after you are over encumbered and you're taking health damage. You crippled your own leg because you're carrying too much. So strong back level 4, instead of letting you fast travel, prevents damage while over encumbered and lets you walk at a normal
I love
speed.
the sound of that, and I think if I'm going to want to use a companion, which of course I'll have to eventually more, that'll have to be what we get to counteract.
How does he accidentally scrap every workbench at Sanctuary?
If he scrapped the building they were in, depending on what he has loaded for potential mods, with Scrap That Settlement, if you scrap an entire building with stuff in it, everything resting on that building might disappear.
Right.
Yeah.
And how do you accidentally max out Kate's affinity? That also didn't seem accidental to me.
Well, I didn't hear how exactly, but yeah, he must be naked. I don't know. What's he doing?
I like that he's eating a can of dog food every time he wakes up, and sort of to represent that he's feeding dog meat. I thought that was very cute.
Well, because his character's a vegetarian, so obviously he wouldn't eat the dog food.
He wouldn't dare, right? But who says that there's any meat in that dog food anyway? Maybe it's canned corn or something. I don't know.
Your dogs don't need soy, y'all.
I like his Vault Tech population machine, accidentally sending everyone to Red Rocket, and they almost lost Mama Murphy. But feed her a little bit of jet, and she'll come right back home. Of course. Oh, that's great. How does Pickpocket and Curie go together there. Curie hates pickpocketing, but she's just going to have to get used to it. How are you going to max her affinity out if you're constantly pickpocketing, Will? Come on. That'll never happen. Well, looking forward to more adventures of your intelligent dentist. And I was thinking, isn't there a barber pole for dentistry? Oh, wait. That's a barber, not a dentist, dummy. So, my suggestion of the barber pole wouldn't be very helpful. So Ray, I need you to hop on building Will a mod for a little dentist sign. Just use the same skin as the Fallout feed flag that you don't have anymore. All right, Will.
On it.
Will, awesome feedback as always. Will is signed up and he will be on the show here in a few weeks. So looking forward to having Will on. Always a lot to say from Will. So really good, Will. Thanks a lot, sir. Let's see what we have coming up next. We've got some stories for Ollie from TyRell.
Hello, Fallout Feed. TyRell here, or the Gaming Gearhead in Discord, here with my feedback for Ollie. Picking up where I left off last time, after arriving in Concord, Ollie helped Preston fight back the raider attack with the unexpected help of a random Deathclaw. Once all the raiders and the Deathclaw were no longer a threat, the group made their way to Sanctuary, where Preston explained what had happened to his group and asked Ollie if he would join the Minutemen. Without hesitation, Ollie agreed. With a new partnership, Ollie set out to help the people of the Commonwealth, hoping to find any clues along the way about what happened to his missing son, Sean. He made his way to Ten Pines Bluff and found out about a group of raiders living in the old Corvega plant that had been causing trouble for the settlers nearby. Once arriving at Corvega, Ollie determined that there were too many raiders for him to take on himself, even with the help of his new four-legged friend, Dogmeat. Noticing a nearby pack of feral ghouls, he got an idea and decided this might just be the extra helping hand he needed. Luring them to the front of the Corvega building, the pack made quick work of most of the raiders, most of the time. This actually took me a number of tries, and I kept having situations where I would try and lure them up there and then jump off the front ledge so they could just do what they needed with the raiders, and somehow they would wind up following me back down and get me and Dogmeat anyway. Once they were dispatched, Ollie made his way around the roof and rear of the building, taking care of any raider stragglers he came across, before making his way inside and finally dealing with the raider boss. Once I got inside the building, it actually took a number of attempts as well, because I kept either blowing myself up with Molotovs, getting burnt by raider Molotovs, or just forgetting that turrets were around. Once back in Sanctuary, Preston thanked Ollie for his help and asked him to clear the ghouls from Sunshine Tidings Co-op. After the ghouls had been dealt with and the radio receiver set up, Ollie went to assist the settlers at Oberlin Station with their raider problem. Running his T-45 power armor out of juice just south of Diamond City, he had to leave the suit behind and made his way to Backstreet Apparel to serve the current raider tenants an eviction notice. Upon returning to Sanctuary, Preston was so impressed he decided Ollie might just have what it takes to be the new general of the Minutemen. He accepted, and with that the newly strengthened group of Minutemen decided it was time to reclaim the castle, the old ruins of what was once Fort Independence. Encountering some raider, ghoul, and super mutant resistance on the way, the group of Minutemen made their journey to the castle and cleared what seemed to be a typical pack of Mirelurks from the ruin. But the Minutemen soon realized the real mess they were in as a Mirelurk queen crept out of the sea to challenge them for the castle. After a few failed attempts, Ollie called a timeout and said BRB, frankly searched the area near the castle for any supplies and equipment he could use while taking full advantage of the combat involved to gain further experience. At first, Ollie thought his luck was high as he stumbled upon a small military checkpoint with a complete suit of T-51 locked in a security cage, but the lock was more complicated than he could figure out. Disappointed, but not throwing in the towel, further exploration led to Jamaica Plain, which was infested with more feral ghouls, but also happened to have partial T-51 suits on the northwest and southeast sides. Taking what he needed from the two suits to make one decent unit, Ollie made his way back to the castle where Preston was MIA, but the Queen and other Minutemen were patiently waiting his return. With the help of some strategically placed mines and a mostly complete suit of power armor, the Minutemen dethroned the Mirelurk Queen and reclaimed the castle as their own. that's about as far as I've made it. I actually did that part last night, and that's where I left off. I think I was level 15 at the time, and I think I'm probably going to take Ollie and go get his designated follower Ada after this, because I did notice that was one of the quests that unlocked when I was trying to get the suits of power armor. And yeah, thanks for listening, and see you guys out in the waste. Adios.
Awesome. Thank you so much, TyRell. Very good to hear from you. Go ahead and go get your Ada, but we are playing through Automatron later in the season after Far Harbor, I believe.
Yes, that's actually a great segue there to mention that I did say last week we would have the schedule up. It took me till like Monday, I think, of last week, but put it up on the website. It's on the website. We did a graphic that we put on Facebook and Twitter with the full schedule week by week. Automatron is mid-July after we do Far Harbor. But of course, when I wrote down the first quest, Mechanical Menace or whatever it's called, I also put in parentheses, likely already done. Because I expect most people will have encountered them, maybe took it, maybe wanted to make robots back at their settlement. Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I definitely have been sending my robot settlers out. Very cool. All right, TyRell. Sorry you ran out of juice when your power armor down south of... That sucks.
Yeah, I've caught some of his playthrough over on YouTube, because he's the one that's doing it on YouTube. Just
great.
like our friend Jeff, Still Falling, is doing it over on Twitch.
Yeah, Sully are streaming too, right?
Yeah, Sully are streaming, and Soph is streaming. I've been watching Soph a bit as well. Sully, it was fun. I mentioned the Gato stream. We took all my Gato peeps over to hang out with Sully for a little bit, like 30-some people over there. Yeah, it was great.
Love that crash. That's great. Cool. TyRell, thank you for your feedback, sir. Looking forward to seeing what you come up with next.
Definitely.
All right, coming up, we have...
Greetings, Wastelanders. This is Lee Benjamin with the continuing story of Mamba Caramba, attorney, post-law. Yesterday,
sounds like a TV
23rd
show.
October, 2077. The apocalypse happened before my eyes. I entered Vault 111 and was sealed in a steel coffin, not knowing I was being cryogenically frozen to spend my sleep amid a waking nightmare of my husband being killed and my baby being stolen. Today, it is late October 2287 according to the Pip-Boy that I found in the vault. Seems unlikely. The vault is abandoned and telling me I need to leave. Not knowing what else to do, I took everything I could find from the vault, including some fresh water. There wasn't much else, but there was a 10mm pistol and some ammunition for it. As a lawyer, it was in my best interest to learn how to use a pistol for my own protection. Nate was a lot of help with his Army experience, and he worked with me to build my proficiency and confidence. We even did a season of team paintball. The consensus was that my situational awareness was exceptional and helped drive our team to the top. Oh, Nate? Having done everything I could in the vault, I headed back to the house in Sanctuary Hills. When the vault elevator reached the top, I quickly learned that the devastation was nearly complete. I found Codsworth still watching the ruined house. He confirmed the date. I was trapped in the vault for over 200 years. I told him what had happened in the vault, and under questioning, he revealed that he'd been in denial the whole time and was glad to have someone to confide in. It was fascinating to note that we as a species had built such frailties into our robotic companions. We looked around the destroyed neighborhood and killed some huge and horrific insects that appeared to be bloat flies. They were the size of a large, full-grown dog. It was quite an introduction to my new reality. Planning and decisive ruthless action are going to be the only way to survive here. Codsworth told me that there were still people in the world and that those in Concord had only shot at him a few times. He gave me a holotape that Nate had recorded for me. I haven't had the heart to listen to it. When passing the Red Rocket south of Sanctuary Hills, I found a dog, a shepherd who's now hanging out with me. I really need someone to shepherd me through this destroyed world, and I've always liked dogs. Just west of there I found a farm and met my first actual people, the Abernathys, Blake, Connie, and Lucy. They spoke of raider gangs in the area and losing a daughter to an attack. Some people suck, but the Abernathys are good people. They let me crash for the night on a dirty but better than nothing mattress. They even had a radio, and someone in the area is running a radio station from somewhere called Diamond City. Maybe there's hope in that. After returning to Sanctuary to heal up, stock up, and collect Codsworth, we headed into Concord. We had no idea what we'd find there, but heard gunfire on the way in and found a dead guy by the roadside. His clothing was rough but practical, and I had to assume he was a thug or one of the townsfolk. There was no real way to tell the difference. In town, we had to kill some more raiders in the center of town, during which we realized we had some help on the balcony of the Museum of Freedom. After finishing off the raiders, a guy named Preston Garvey called from the balcony and said there were more raiders inside bashing on the door to get at them. Garvey was a Minuteman. Yes, the 23rd century version of the 18th century Minutemen. They had been reestablished a couple of decades earlier for the same purpose, to aid the people at a minute's notice. We took out the rest of the raiders in the museum together. Garvey told me how he and his 4 charges had been stalled at the museum. Oddly, their destination was Sanctuary Hills. They found a crashed vertibird on the roof of the museum that had both a minigun and a suit of combat power armor with a dead battery. Basically, an electric tank on legs. They needed a fusion cell battery, and I had found one in the basement earlier. Thanks to spending a fun afternoon at an open house at Fort Devens over 200 years ago, I had learned the basics of operating late 21st century power armor. Using the armor and the minigun, which they had assured me would work like a rifle, we were able to start taking out the raiders' reinforcements that had shown up since my arrival. When there were only a few of the attackers left, the gunfire attracted something else, which showed up at the far end of the street that wanted to join the party.
Ruh-roh.
Something else. It was a huge lizard full of teeth and claws and more than enough rage at being disturbed to challenge us all. While it was distracted with the last few raiders, I was able to move close enough with the power armor and minigun to make short work of it, but it took nearly all the ammo I had left. Rejoining Garvey and the refugees, I decided to go with them back to Sanctuary Hills to help them get established. I left the power armor there with its now dead fusion cell. I guess Garvey will be running a settlement now. Little did I know where that would take me. About a week later, I was exploring south of Concord and found the old Drumlin Diner was now being used as a general store, and that the old Starlight Drive-In was empty, but had enough resources to make another good settlement. When I next visited Sanctuary Hills, Preston tasked me to help a farm to the east called Ten Pines Bluff. When we got to the bluff, there was a caravan run by an armor merchant named Lucas Miller. I bought a couple of pieces of armor. Betty and London Pines had sent the message to the Minutemen by another caravan to ask for help. It turned out that some raiders at the old Corvega assembly plant in Lexington had been shaking them down for supplies. Leaving Ten Pines along the top of the bluff, we were attacked by raiders below on the railroad tracks. Fortunately, Lucas's caravan guards helped us take out the raiders, and they left me the spoils, which included a rough set of raider-restored power armor, which I then delivered to the Starlight Drive-In. After a good night's sleep at the drive-in, we headed out to scout the Corvega plant. Outside of the plant, we found there were raiders waiting. We took out about 10 of them and a few in the rooms near the front entrance. At that point, I was hurting, and we were both running low on ammunition. After selling the equipment we had collected at the diner and healing up, we went back the next day and cleaned out the rest of them. Using the drive-in as a central base, we kept scouting south as far as Oberlin Station. It seems every little pocket of humanity I came across needed help of one kind or another, which usually led to a fight, followed by another group that needed help. This even included a group of autonomous robots running a farm. At some point, Preston Garvey decided he wanted to revive the Minutemen, and told me that he couldn't lead it himself, but that I had shown by being both helpful and competent that I could. He then made me the general of his seemingly unsustainable Pyrrhic kingdom. While exploring in College Square, I came across a man who claimed that he worked as a doctor for Vault Tech and had the lab coat to prove it. As I had been having a lot of issues with diseases from the wasteland, I asked him if he'd like to work for me. He decided that settlement life was for him, and so he agreed to meet me at the Starlight Drive-In settlement. He was skeptical when I mentioned that I was familiar with Vault Tech from before the war. He scoffed, saying that I could not possibly be that old. He has yet to explain his claims and apparent age to me. Since his lab coat was unsuitable for the kind of fighting we'd likely see, I gave him his pick of the road leathers and armor that I had on hand. His response was, "I'm a doctor, not a commando."
I'm a doctor, not an engineer.
He has definitely chosen his own style with the Yoshanka hat so his bald pate doesn't give us away at every opportunity, and the patched road leathers for protection, and an expression of his frustration with his current situation. The patch on his right thigh says, "The Exploited." On his right shoulder, it says, "Fuck you." His name is Robert Picardo.
Sweet, Lee. Good deal. How to get Codsworth to go with them to Concord? I thought you had to go to Concord first and then go back and then get Codsworth and then go back again or something.
You just have to get where it acknowledges that you've discovered Concord.
Oh, I thought you had
And
to
then
like
you-
go in the
No,
museum.
yeah.
Okay.
You just have to discover it.
Yeah, so everything but going in, like how you have to get there to progress a lot of the main quest line without getting them. So that makes perfect sense, bringing him with him. That's cool. Also, he is, he mentioned the Robert Picardo mod before, but now he talked about it a bit this time, and he posted a picture in chat. In fact, he posted a couple pictures.
Yeah.
Little play along screenshots in chat. Look great. His Dr. Picardo does look a little bit grumpy. I like him.
Got the Ushanka hat on.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice.
One thing I really like about the feedback, I'm sorry, Andrew, I just wanted to
go
say
ahead.
that the way Lee approaches it from the character's perspective, we're doing the talk through, but this is a wild wasteland. And sometimes, we forget how much our character doesn't know, faced with all this for the first time. I really like that.
Yeah. Very nice, Lee. Thank you so much, sir. And I will pitch this for everyone to join our Discord because you can hang out while we're doing the live show. And like Jess mentioned, Lee likes to post pictures of his commentary of what he's actually talking about in real time on the show. He will post in the live chat so you can see pictures of his adventures. And I've always liked that he does that. So, Lee, congratulations. Thank you so much for doing that. And looking forward to more of your feedback, sir. It's great stuff. We have Still Falling, Jeff, coming up next. You can follow him on twitch.tv/stillfalling. There might be more to that. But you can find the link on the top of the show description down there. I've been including the links for people who are live streaming their survival playthroughs. So if you'd like to follow along with any of these characters who are live streaming, you can find those links down there. So here
It's been wicked fun seeing people in there. That's why I mentioned them a little bit ago, just because I pop in and how do you say her name again, Andrew? Swirl?
Swirl normal.
Yes, that person was watching, and just a bunch of us have been hanging out with each other, kind of watching the playthrough.
Swirly morale.
Swirly morale. That's got to be it.
Perfect. All right, here's Jeff.
Hey, Fallout feed, Jeff from Cleveland again. I think it's safe to say that thanks to survival mode, Fallout has taken over my life once again. I've been playing a lot. So far, my last save was at 1 day, 34 minutes, and that's in the past week and a half or so. So, yeah. I am playing it very slow for the most part. I barely left the top left corner of the map for a good 10 levels. I was knocking out a whole bunch of different quests. I am up to level 18. And I have at least one level of each of my assigned perks so far. Lone Wanderer with cat meat definitely is very helpful. I know there's been a discussion between whether it gives you 50 or 100 or half. The cards do say that they give 50 and 100, but I think when I took Lone Wanderer 2, it only boosted me up 50. So I think the actual perk says they are giving you 50 and 100, but with survival, I think that cuts it in half. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what I saw. I'm also already level 3 on my gunslinger. Really enjoying that. I found a 10 millimeter legendary that gives off 10 points of freezing damage for every crit. So if I hit an enemy with a crit and it doesn't kill them, it gives them 10 points of freezing damage, which usually gives me a good chance to finish them off. It definitely helps. I also got an instigating hunting rifle, which is my for when I'm going far. I use that a lot for my for the Corvega plant, because that's too many enemies to be getting close and personal with my 10 millimeter. I am in full combat armor. I got a 98 damage resistance. I found the gunner guard outfit is pretty good. It gives you a +1 endurance, +1 perception, and I think it's like 35 damage resistance so far. I've unlocked Sanctuary, Red Rocket, 10 Pines Bluff, Starlight, Drive-In, Grey Gardens, Oberlin Station, Sunshine Tidings, and Hangman's Alley. They are all connected, so I have quite a few fast travel points in the top left part of the map.
Wow.
So far, I have I've completed the pull the plug mission, the one Freedom Calls to help Preston and them. I've completed all the stuff in Sanctuary. I've finished returning the favor, so I've gotten the locket back for from Olivia, the satellite station. I killed Wolfgang in Order Up, helped out, was it Trudy and her son. I cleared out Sunshine Tidings. I have took the tour at Vault 81. I've given my blood, and I've told the kids a story so far. I am currently about to head back there to do the hole in the... Actually, I'm in the middle. I just started the hole in the wall quest, and I found something interesting in there I'm going to bring up in a minute. I've also took Hangman's Alley and on my way to Diamond City, and I finally made it to Diamond City after about, like I said, a day's worth of saves. But the thing about the hole in the wall I've noticed, I've never really noticed it. I usually just kind of run through there, I guess. There are 3 lockers on the sides. Like, they're laid on their sides, and they're, if you look in the inventory of them, they're filled with a full body of bones. And in front of them, there's flowers, and on top are lab coats, which makes me think, didn't really read the terminals, but I'm assuming that these are the scientists that were locked in the vault down there that died, and they just kind of give them a little burial there, which I found kind of creepy, but pretty interesting. Another note that I found while heading south on the train tracks from Starlight Drive, and I headed to Grey Gardens, there was a raider that was he was just standing there burying another raider. He was kind of crying, obviously upset. It was a male raider burying a female raider, and I've never seen that because I'm always fast traveling. And I kind of felt bad after I killed the raider, because then as I walked up, I realized, he was burying his girlfriend, and unfortunately they're together now. I feel bad about that, but they're a raider.
No, you don't.
So yeah, this has been a whole hell of a lot of fun. I'm playing it very slow. I'm playing a lot, but I am playing it slow. It's getting easier. It's getting a lot easier as I get my perks built up and better equipment. Maintaining the sleep and the diseases. The diseases are a pain in the ass. I'm not using stim packs as much. I'm not using Radaway at all anymore, so definitely changes the way you play. I am streaming most of my gameplay, whether I'm using a mic or a camera. Sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not. If I'm home alone, I usually have the mic on. If my wife's next to me playing her Stardew Valley, I'm usually just gameplay, just so I have documentation of my Fallout feed stuff, so I can go back and look it over. I am using a ton of mods that I saw on Jess's stream, her first stream. A lot of the visual mods, and she knows how to put together a mod playlist for the Xbox, so I put trust in her mods. Thanks again. Check me out on Twitch. It's still following 97. Thank you again. I'm Jeff, and I'll see you guys in the Wasteland.
Awesome, Jeff. Still following 97, everyone, if you didn't catch that. Over there on the Twitch. Check them out. Giving Jess the big fist pump for her. She knows how to create a mod list.
Appreciate that. Trial by fire, like so much of this stuff, right?
Oh, my God.
On the Xbox.
The raider burial scene. You're not sorry you killed that raider. You go up there, you try to give condolences, and he just turns and tries to shoot at you anyway.
Yeah, I usually try to avoid him. I ran into him myself this last time and ended up fighting before I realized where I was. But
is that the train tracks north of Grey Garden?
It is.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I've definitely run into that guy a bunch.
Kind of south of the Gunners on the overpass area there a little bit. Yeah. He mentioned getting a local leader and supply line set up between all those settlements in the Northeast. So that is pretty good. I mean, it sounded like he was as far as Hangman's Alley. So if he's got Hangman's Alley north and west, he can, that's a solid location to pretty much, you have to run past the extreme places, but anywhere center map over, you're good.
Yeah, and use that river access, Hangman's Alley, another one of those waterfront properties. Just hop in the river.
Now, how is that waterfront? Essentially, I mean, you can come up the
It's half
river.
a block from the goddamn river. It's so waterfront adjacent.
There's a road and a walkway.
You go under the bridge by that boat full of raiders. Now, how often are the raiders on that boat? Do they not respond that often in survival mode after you kill them once?
No, I haven't even killed them. I just ignore them.
Yeah, me too. I just swim underneath them. They never. See, Aqua Girl Part 2 says you can swim undetected, but I've never had anyone shoot at me with just level 1. You know, no one ever sees me anyway. So
they forget to look down, I guess.
I guess.
Yeah.
It just makes me a quiet swimmer thing. Oh, and the dead scientist's burial and the Vault 81 scene. I've always taken that as Curie's just playing to be so naive. She fucking killed those scientists and put the graves there and the lockers just to make it look like she's
No,
I'm
she didn't.
so innocent. Oh, I do not know.
She's been in her area. She needed you to let her go as a deputized officer.
She killed all of them. It's her fault.
Because they were her only company.
And that's why she's sad they're gone, because she killed them all.
No, she just outlived them.
I've heard she's a little bloodthirsty, when she gets in a fight. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, we'll see after I go through her story again.
She just plays innocent. I'm telling you, Curie's evil. All right, Jeff, check him out. Still Falling 97 over there on the Twitch. Let's get into Taz. Hey, Taz. Taz in the live chat. So shout out to Taz. What's up, bub? Hello, friends and fellow Wastelanders. We find Leia after dealing with the horrors of having to enter the vault and then waking up all alone and making her harrowing escape from the vault. She finally makes it to the surface. After she leaves the vault, she soon scavenges some meager supplies and begins walking down the hill to Sanctuary Hills. She makes her way back to her former home. She passes what looks like an old military bunker entrance and remembers one of the last jobs that Nate had before leaving the Army was setting up several military readiness bunkers in Metro Boston area. It was locked, and she had no bobby pins to pick the lock, so she continued on. Upon entering the neighborhood of Sanctuary Hills, she entered a couple of the still intact houses, only to find each a trio of extremely large flies that seemed to shoot maggots at her. After dispatching them quickly, she thought to herself normal cans of bug spray would definitely not cut with these bugs. She makes her way to the former home, which was still relatively intact, with her robot Codsworth still tending to the plants in the yard. After speaking with Codsworth, she learns that she was in the vault for about 210 years, and she thought that was pretty crazy. Codsworth suggests looking for help in Concord, since she had seen people there. Soon, she reaches more of the houses that are still standing and finds more bugs like cockroaches the size of a small dog. After dealing with the rest of the bugs, she soon felt all of her military training she got from the Navy and her family came flooding back as though remembering things after a case of amnesia. Her character level quickly jumps to level 20 from level 2 upon activation of her memories. She soon gained additional perks of Blacksmith, Rifleman, Aqua Girl, Adamantium Skeleton, Ninja, Grim Reaper's Sprint, Inspiration, as well as Scrapper. This was attained when activating the Soul Survivor Military Service mod. She was a Master Chief with training and main career as a machinist mate, and then other training in Expert Marksman, SEAL training and Navy Assault Troop, Underwater Salvage, as well as seen with heavy combat. She never spoke outside of her unit and Nate. She soon finds a cellar bunker behind one of the houses and enters to see if there were any other supplies there. Just as she gets down into the bunker, a sudden flash of light appears, and there stands a young woman calling herself Trix E1. She said she was something called a synth prototype, and she was sent by a Dr. G, whoever that was. She had a handwritten note on her to say, "To whichever dude it might be reading me note. Me is gonna die soon, and the Institute found out me has been teaching me's creation to be good. They is gonna kill her. Me is setting Trixie serial number Trix
E1 free in the hope that you is going to find and look after her. Good job, I made a disabled double of me tricks. Now they think she is gonna. She should be safe with you, bro. She is equivalent of two of them cursor dudes, so they wanted her eliminate. Dead. I ain't got much time left in the house. God bless you, man, and stay safe, both of yous. Dr. G. Leia soon, with the help of Trixie, began making Sanctuary Hills into a proper home base. They got a basic garden set up along with some defenses as well. While exploring the area around Sanctuary Hills, they managed to get into a pair of the military readiness bunkers and found a goodly supply of food, ammo, crafting supplies, as well as a few weapons, as well as a pair of power armor suits T-51 and T-60 respectively. While on the road near the Red Rocket Station, Leia comes across an old Corvega Highwayman which seemed to be in fair condition, which needed a few parts that were eventually found, and Leia, putting her mechanic skills to good use, got the Highwayman up and running. This will help get around as well as transporting supplies home. Trixie is a companion mod 1 of a set of 3, which does not count to your companion total, so you'll be able to bring her along as well as your other normal companions. Next time, Leia and Trixie shall venture into Concord to see what might be found there. Till next time, see you all in the wasteland.
What was the double power armor suits all about? Is he running some mods or something? Good lord. Got pairs of just power armor just sitting around, Taz? Very cool. He's posting pictures of notes. Ray says, so is Dr. Gia Gungan. I was just thinking, like, he's making me read some Jar Jar Binks style dialogue over here. Who the man he missing you? I was trying not to be super offensive with my accent, though, so I don't know.
But I got what you were going for. Yeah, the Rastafarian sound, and it's actually from a mod that he has with the note that he posted in chat there.
Yep, cool note. It reads exactly what I read there, but yeah. So again, another benefit of joining our Discord and joining in the live show. Get to see all these really cool visual
I like
displays.
the bug spray comment.
Yep.
The bug spray comment was a good one.
Not gonna cut it.
A lot of characterization. I like that this is essentially a rework of his last character, Leia, but he's added to the story and kind of just fleshing it out more. Yeah. Kind of, we all have like what we call original characters. Well, some of us make characters like they're disposable. There are some that really stick with it. Yes. Nobody in particular. But
I feel seen.
But a few of them even then have stories that really stick with us, that we remember for a long time. And I feel like I have friends, especially artist friends, who like to make original characters, and they will bring that same character into multiple games and just kind of rewrite their story and refine them over time, who they are, what their motivations are, and I think that's a really cool way to play.
Yep, absolutely. Speaking of sticking with us for a long time, here's Keith.
Hey everyone, this is Keith calling in. I hope everyone's doing well. I'm calling in with my feedback. It's not a whole lot, but it's something, I guess, at least. Anyway, when I left off, I was going on the way to get Preston in this game. We did the quest. Had a blast at that death claw. It took me several deaths before I got him down. So I got them gathered up. We went over to the sanctuary. I got some crops growing for them. I got some water for them. Beds, go if they want a roof over their head, get that done. And they seem to be happy. So me and Dog Meat took off and we ran to that stinking Bedford station. There's the ghouls come running at you, man. That shit just creeps me out, man. I mean, I know they're there, and it still gets me every time. But that's a fun little thing. But needless to say, they're laying on the ground dead now. One of them had a fork in his. That's all he was carrying. But anyway, after that, I ran into Mystic Pines and found a magazine nearby on one of the tables. It says Tales of the Junction Jerry Vendor. It gave me 10% better prices with vendors. After that, Dog Meat and myself ran into Lexington, and we explored the area pretty well. Then we ran into Boston, explored that well. Then we was on our way to Diamond City. I did the talking. How do you get in there? Trying to stay away from Piper and that whole mess over there for now. I really just want to go get Kate. So Dog Meat and myself, we went there. Go get Kate. The combat zone. Man, it took me several times to get that taken care of. I finally slowed down a little bit and got Kate, and we took off out of there. It wasn't long before she was talking to me about me looking at her buttocks, her ass. She's just funny. We went to another building. It was some library or something, and there was a save. She unlocked her first save. There was a 10mm suppressed weapon in there. I gave that to her. She's using that and wearing some armor I've given her for right now. And once we exited that building, there was a legendary feral stalker ghoul. Killed him and his little buddies. And the ghoul dropped the lucky lever action rifle. Gives you extra crit damage and then restores AP points. I still haven't got a chance to go get ammo for that. It is a 4570 ammo. I don't see that very often. Not far from there, we ran into the Pikmin Gallery. I got another backpack upgrade, a plus 20 from there's a mod that backpacks come with. So I had a plus 10. Now I'm using a plus 20, so it helps out. Now we left there, and I said, well, let's go do some railroad stuff. So we took off to go to railroad. I didn't follow the Freedom Trail. I just went straight to Old North Church, and we went in there and did the puzzle. And the leader seemed really confused. I got in there and asked me a bunch of questions. I think the dialogue's different if you don't go through the Freedom Trail. I think there's more options for speak options and checks and stuff. I didn't write all those down, but it seemed like it was different. But Deacon came out of nowhere, and he had my back, and he told me, hey, he knows me. And then we're on our first quest. We took off for that first quest and ran that, I think his name was Ricky Dalton. But he gave us direction when he suggested doing it. I did something totally different. I went through the sewers, or we went through the sewers, and we did that quest. And he ended up getting off. I'm almost through that quest. Then I told myself, I need to go get my assigned settlement. So I went to get my assigned settlement, Country Crossings, and they want me to go kill some raiders who've been bothering him at the Reverend beach station. It's been aggravating them before I can gain access to my assigned settlement, which is the Country Crossings. I didn't finish that last night. There was more raiders in there than I thought. I cleared that one area, and then I went to another area, and there was a bunch more in there, so I dropped it off for now, and I'll finish it up this weekend. That's it. I mean, there's a lot more stuff that, obviously, I probably locations and other things to do, but I just can't remember everything to write down. But that's it for now. I appreciate it, and hope everyone's having a good time, and hopefully next time around I have more to report and take better notes. Y'all have a good one, and thanks. Bye.
Right on, Keith. Good to hear from you, buddy. Glad you're playing along with us. Does the railroad dialogue change depending on which route you take to get there?
Definitely.
Absolutely, yep.
I don't know if I've ever noticed that or not. Good pickup there, Keith.
There's a lot of different things. The way they greet you, also the way that Deacon speaks up for you, because when Desdemona tries to turn you down or who the hell are you, Deacon has all kinds of things he can say. And based on, what you've already done out there in the Commonwealth, whether or not he's seen you out there, he'll say different things.
All right, because he's spying on you the whole time. I forgot about that. Yeah. He's following you around.
Yeah. If you go there, so if you go to Diamond City, you can hear them, two guys over by the detective agency talk about the railroad. That'll give you the Follow the Freedom Trail quest. So if you go to the railroad at that point, they'll have one set of dialogue where you can say, I heard about you at the, rumor about you in Diamond City. If you go there without, having done any other quests and not going into Diamond City and kicking it off that way, there's a whole nother set of dialogue, where she's very skeptical about how you could possibly have gotten in there. And then Deacon will come in and say, I don't know who they are, but, they got here, so they must be something.
Yep.
And so you can go that way.
Isn't that Deacon's chair perched on the hillside up above the Red Rocket? And
allegedly,
and like there's a cabin or something with the kid who ran off or something. It doesn't Deacon has stayed
there's
there
one above
before.
the vault.
Yeah. One above 111.
Yep.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, in the little overlook area, and yeah, you're right about the kid running off, and yeah, a number of possible locations.
Yeah, I think Swirly talked about going there.
Keith also mentioned, getting his assigned settlement county crossing, which that's actually can be a tougher one because it's kind of open to raider attacks. Like,
oh my god!
Yeah, you mentioned about that being under attack before with the robots.
Christ. There's that spawn point just south of the bridge, right? And there's robots that spawn there, and once you kick off Automatron, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna go get county crossing. I'm gonna get my robot purveyor and the robot junk and get all that stuff nice and set up. That'll be great. And then I went there. There were 2 fucking sentry bots with skulls on their heads, and then 4 other really super high powered to fucking robots that I had zero chance of killing. And the settlers, they're they don't die, so they just take a knee and they're down for 10, 12, 15 seconds. I don't know how long. But then they stand right back up, and then the robots mow them down again. Then they stand right back. So I was like, oh, I'm going to hide here a while and just see if what happens. And the loop would never end. So I could sit there forever, and those poor people were just going to get slaughtered by these robots over and over and over again. So I decided, well, I can't do that right now because I can't kill all these robots by myself. So I just fucked off and went and did the slog or something instead, and was like, man, I hope that cell clears out when I leave. And by the time I came back hours and hours later, they had left. So I was like, I don't know how you settlers did that, but congratulations for killing those sentry bots. Good for you guys. Sorry, Jess, I interrupted. You were talking. What were you going to say there?
No, that's all good. A whole lot of pain. Yeah, I was just talking about how, there are people have asked about where you get sent for various things when you're defending the settlements. When Backstreet Apparel came up a couple of times, that's where I have to go next. Oberlin will almost always send you to Backstreet Apparel, but that's a very common location anyway. It's the actual list that they use for raider troubles and stopping the raiding are the 2 names, the raiding quests related to that. I think there's maybe 6 to 10 locations total, so there aren't that many. And they usually pick one that's nearby. And some of them only pop up once you've actually cleared them out already. You can be sent to clear raiders at Corvega. You can be sent to clear raiders at Saugus, but you're probably only going to get that if you've already done the related quests there in the first place. 10 Pines will always send you to Corvega, and Oberlin pretty much always Backstreet, and then it varies.
I had Abraham Finch say, oh, there's a settlement that I know about. It's an area, but they've got some bad guys at it. And if you go clear that out, oh, I know some settlers who would like to and I thought he was going to talk about something nearby. He wants me to go all the way down to Jamaica Plain. I'm like, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, when you get to the south side, the settlements are a little further between, and clearing the way is a pain in the butt one. But at least you only have to go to the settlement and not another entire location to clean it out.
Yeah, but as Clint remembers, last time I tried to go to Jamaica Plain, there's a ghoul that's on a 3rd floor of a building tucked. It was now that I know where they all are, it shouldn't be so hard. But I spent hours fucking trying to kill all those ghouls in Jamaica Plain. So I don't know if I'm gonna ignore Abraham Finch at this point or actually go do that. But I still haven't gone south of the midpoint of the map yet. I'm clearing stuff up on the north side. I have all you people talk about going all these locations all over the damn place. I'm like, good Lord, I can't go south. The bad guys are so hard once you get down there. So
yeah, that's partly why I did it, is because when the areas have a level range that they can spawn in, if you go down there earlier, they're going to stay on the lower side of that level spawn usually.
Oh no, I fucked myself.
Yeah, it's going to be harder when you do go, most likely. I mean, if you do, because we're just here to do the DLC. You may be like, forget down there.
Yeah, good point.
Although, actually, I say that, but didn't you run to the boat to get your bobblehead anyway? So you've been down there. Quincy?
Actually, and I didn't go. That's all I did ashore. Is I went to Spectacle Island to grab the bobblehead. I don't even know if it like discovered the location or not because I was just at the boat on the very southern tip of the island, and then I got the wreck of the Norwegian whatever guys. So I did do those two. You're right. So that's as far south as I've gone, but I did not go inland at all. I stayed right at the water's edge.
So Murkwater is going to be a real pain in the ass.
Oh, good Lord. No fun. No fun. Hey, Keith, thanks so much for your feedback, sir. Looking forward to hearing more from you. Let's finish out our feedback for the night with good old Pip-Boy Steve.
Kia ora, everybody. Steve here with my feedback for Zenith. So, after all my adventures dying last week, I mostly have more of the same to report. Dying repeatedly, but gotta say, having a blast. My notable deaths were clearing out Hubris Comics. I loaded up all the junk and whatnot. I cleared out that place, killed all the guys, took all the loot. I go up on the roof, and then I'm jumping down off the building, and I jump onto a car, and I get stuck in it. Like, I'm just stuck there in the back window of a car. Can't fast travel, can't use console to fix it.
Oh, no.
Survival. Luckily, there was a raider nearby that I got his attention,
Kill
and
me,
they started
please.
shooting at me and eventually killed me, put me out of my misery. Then I went back and cleared it again, of course. Then I had cleared out all of Weston Water Treatment Plant for Grey Garden. They send you over there to get the super mutants and turn on the water pump. And I kill all the Mirelurks. I clear that place. I get looted up. I leave the building. I'm thinking to myself, I should go to sleep in one of those mattress sleeping bags in the super mutant huts nearby to save.
You should.
Of course, on the way into one of the huts, I trip a tripwire, the bomb goes off, and I'm dead. I didn't even realize it. Like, I was dead before I even knew it. It was just so fast. Big sigh. I don't make the same mistake the next time. So what I'm doing is I'm finding it advantageous to clear an area, save, and then loot it. Just so I'm not wasting time with space and weight management just to die. When I was rescuing Valentine, I was down in that vault, and one of the triggermen dropped a plasma-infused radium rifle. I'm pretty sure that settles me into going rifleman. I haven't taken any weapons perks yet. I was right at that point of no return where you drop down the hatch, so I ran all the way back out and up the subway to a sleeping bag, just in case I was going to die, and
Smart.
I lost that amazing legendary drop. So
Fuck yeah, dude.
I still have it. And I haven't gotten any amazing armor drops yet, though. I think I'll just have a super mutant. I think I have a super mutant arm and like a ghoul leg and a poisoner's chest. Cool and all, but I'll replace them the moment a better drop comes. I did spend some time on my settlements. I went around and I addressed any issues they had. You can, go into your Pip-Boy and look at the Data Workshops tab and see what has the exclamation triangle on them. I have 8 settlements total, just all up in the northwest area. So I made sure they all had beds and food and water and defense. I do have provisioners providing supplies between them all. It's really handy just to be able to dump junk at any of my settlements. I am slowly populating them. I'm really only running a settlement beacon at Sanctuary and then reassigning settlers from there. That way I can control it, and I really only send out new settlers when I go back to Sanctuary, which is more often than I'd like, but it's not all the time. As we head into Nuka World, I will want to ensure that I have a beacon at any vassal settlements I take for the raiders, because apparently if something happens, they can still repopulate with the beacon, even though once you turn it into a vassal, you're really unable to do anything to that settlement through the workshop. So I'm assuming we'll probably do some more talking about how to properly handle the raider situation once we get into Nuka World. So I do plan on taking Zenith to conquer the Commonwealth. Anyways, that is my feedback for this week. Thank you very much, and I will see you all in the Wasteland.
Now I'm ready to get into this raider vassal stuff now, Steve. Tell me about it. Oh, good stuff, Steve. stinks to have to go to the sanctuary all the damn time, especially if you're playing vanilla survival. You don't have any sort of fast travel, no extra saves. Good Lord. Cleaning out all of the water treatment plant and then dying immediately after all the loot and stuff. Ugh. But you know what? You learn a lesson pretty quick, don't you? As he, runs all the way back up out of Nick's vault to save his awesome legendary drop. That's smart.
Yeah, and he's now that he has 8 settlements, he said he's got most of the northwest quadrant. I mean, that's pretty good now. With supply lines and everything like that, he can definitely find plenty of room to make a stash and save stuff a little bit closer to home.
Yeah, and he was commenting on his armor and saying, oh, I've got one piece that's a ghoul, one piece that's a super mutant, one piece this and that. I remember Pat always used to make that his strategy, where he would make sure to get one piece from each different bad guy category, so that all the bad guys wouldn't do as much damage to him. Pat always would aim at getting one super mutant, one ghoul, one, less damage from, I don't know, gunners, if that's one of them or not. But
just humans in general.
Yeah. So, you don't necessarily need to be eager to replace those, because that is a valid strategy of getting less damage from everyone, just having one category on each of your armor, less damage from each of those. So yeah, it's good stuff. Pip-Boy Steve, and another thank you to Steve for setting up our character generator. Everyone, round of applause for Steve. Thank you, Steve, for doing all that.
Thank you, Steve.
And like Will, Steve is going to be on our schedule to come on the show here pretty soon. So.
Oh, beautiful. I know that can be a little more difficult for his schedule at times.
Yeah, Kia ora.
He's also the one in our community who way back, 2016 probably, shortly after 4 came out, who I think first came up with the idea of giving the mining helmets, the lit mining helmets, to your provisioners.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, such a good thing. I tell people about that all the time who don't play Fallout 4 much or haven't heard of it. It's just so great to have obviously not your robots, probably. I wouldn't think your robots, but having your settler provisioners walking around with those beams in the dark is really cool when you're out in the wild.
You can see them from forever away. It's good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Steve, thank you, sir. Thanks for the feedback. And that is our feedback for the night. I'd like to thank everyone for sending it in. And a reminder, it is not too late to hop onto our Roundtable project. If you are interested in participating, go roll yourself a character on our website, asapodcasting.com, in the Fallout Feeds section, and then send us your 5-minute feedback using your voice memo app on your phone. Very appreciated, everyone who participated tonight. Great batch of feedback.
How fun is this, doing the open? So when we were setting up this roundtable and talking about it ahead of time, one of the things that made us a little bit reluctant or a little bit unsure is, we've always done assigned quests. That is the entire point. Assigned quests with, characters with drastically different attributes. Well, if there's no quests, what do you do? But this open play has been some really neat variety of feedback.
Yeah, it actually has been really nice to hear the different varied experiences, what people are aiming for and what they're running off to do while we're getting Far Harbor under our feet. Right.
It makes me wonder if in the future, for some of the other games, we could do them with, say, a level target or something like that. So it becomes more open play, but still with a goal to kind of keep everybody unified.
Good brainstorming stuff. Yeah, really good. Mm-hmm. All right, well, that, like I mentioned, is our feedback for the night. So let's go ahead and round out the show. We'll hop into a little bit of iguana bits here quickly, and then some scorecation shouts on our way out the door. What do we got, Jess?
Well, I'll make the iguana bits wicked quick because Bethesda made them wicked quick. Looking at the community calendar, the Mothman Equinox is done. So I hope you all had your fill of moth dust, enjoyed riding that high, and got all the rewards you wanted from that.
I didn't do one this whole time. Before we were logging in, I said, oh, right, shit, the Mothman thing's going on. I got to hop in there. He's like, no, you don't.
Yo, Clarence, Whoops. I'd love to help you and the rest of the Enlightened, but I'm on scorecation, so find somebody else to cover my shift.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck you, Clarence.
I probably ended up doing 5 or 6 of them. I did not do as many as usual either, because we got Fallout 4 to play. It's not going to play itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Good play.
That and Redfall. So this weekend is Caps of Plenty weekend, which is most people's least favorite special weekend. So if you've got stuff you need to offload and you're short on caps, you get extra caps at vendors this weekend.
Woohoo!
Looking ahead, we have treasure hunters to round out the month, but that's all that's on the schedule for May. The assumption is that the season, we probably have about 3 more weeks. We don't have an end date to the season, but it's likely going to be beginning of June, probably June 6th. So people have about 3 or 4 weeks left. So enjoy that scorecation while you can. And it could be longer. We really don't know yet.
Yeah, we're encouraging everyone to just go ahead and not do next season. Just keep playing Fallout 4, everyone.
Well,
yeah, I was getting kind of nervous because I had to very strategically stack my Mothman events.
So you wouldn't level up.
So yeah, so I've managed to escape with only half a level.
Attaboy, Ray. Attaboy.
Way to go. Are you going to play any more 76? Or are you going to try to avoid it for the rest of the season?
He's got to wait.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's easier to play when, or not, get score when there's no events going on. Yeah, I don't know that I'll be as excited about the miners.
The juxtaposition of you and me, Ray, is just maddening. How I'm like, I gotta run through the score, get this done a bit, and Ray's like, I can't get score. I've got to avoid score at all costs. I'm like, it's a beautiful thing. Beautiful.
It really is. I guess that makes me the happy medium, since I want to get it done, but I also take my time.
Yeah, Jess is the nice happy medium where it's like she'll do it when she does it. I'm like, get this over with.
So I can afford to get 1 XP round, but nothing more than that.
Nothing more, just 1 and done.
No levels. Also, looking ahead on the calendar, so this is it for the official calendar, and we have no real Fallout news coming out to talk about this week. But I do want to mention, and with Fallout for Hope stuff, we talked a little bit about how a few of our friends are fundraising. There are some events this weekend that people may really want to check out, either when they air or going back and watching the video afterward. So today there was a big over on Robots Radio Twitch channel voice actor summit with a whole bunch, probably more than we've had in one place for any of our events in a while. That was pretty awesome. But Saturday coming up, that is tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, there's going to be an interview with Adrienne Barbeau. That's over on the Chad Fallout 76 podcast channel. And Adrienne Barbeau, known as, the Scream Queen and Rizzo from Grease and all that, pretty famous actress, but also the voice of the Overseer in Fallout 76.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool because I knew that she was the voice actress for the Overseer, but I had kind of forgotten. And then just the fact that she's going to come on and kind of talk about that and what it's like to do voice acting and stuff, I thought that was really neat. And then coming up on Sunday, and this is the one I am incredibly psyched about. So Sunday at 3 p.m., again, over on Chad Fallout 76 podcast channel on Twitch, 3 p.m. Eastern, there will be a Writers Summit, Worlds of Bethesda, with Emil Pagliarulo, Will Shen, Brian Chapin, and Alan Nanes. As you know, Emil Pagliarulo is the design director at Bethesda Game Studios, in charge of all quests and writing and everything.
Mm-hmm.
As far as that goes, Will Shen is going to be the lead quest designer at Bethesda for Starfield specifically, but also he was the lead writer for Far Harbor. Brian Chapin is a quest designer, and Alex Nain is a senior quest designer over there. So yeah, basically people who are doing a lot of the writing and design of all the quests we're playing through and talk about all the time, all together 3 p.m. on Sunday. And I feel like, yes, they're talking about Bethesda and a lot of historical stuff, but man, it's a good chance for some Starfield information to slip. So I'm going to be there.
Chances are.
Mm-hmm. And then one other thing I want to kind of shout out in the larger kind of Bethesda and Fallout creator community. So everyone knows Tim Kaine was one of the original creators of Fallout 1 that we just played through. Also worked on, a lot of other games. I went through and did Outer Worlds, right? Yeah. Outer Worlds just a couple years ago, and has been talking a bit about Fallout. Well, he just started a YouTube channel himself, and this is a treasure, an absolute treasure. So he's kind of following the steps of Mark Dara. If you guys don't know, Mark Dara was one of the lead writers at BioWare for a while, and for the last 2 years has done a show called Mark Dara on Games is the channel Well, the one for Tim Kaine, I think, is called Kane on Games. Let me just double check that real quick. I have it saved.
Kane on Games.
Kane on Games. And he's basically just talking about all kinds of things, like little historical anecdotes and fun things he learned through his time as a writer and designer of video games. Yes, Kaine, Cain, which is his last name, on Games. He's only been doing this for 2 weeks, and some of these videos are fantastic. They're averaging 5 to 8 minutes, and a few of them are giving some real information. So one thing that's been out a lot, I've seen a number of articles talking about it. What was it? Oh, yeah. So there have been a bunch of articles about this one where he talks about the true purpose of vaults and Fallout, which, we've speculated on, and it's referenced, I think, in the Fallout Bible, but talking about how in his mind, after the first game they designed before this, but while wrapping up the first game and going on to the second game, the idea that maybe Vault-Tec was creating the vaults as a kind of test bed for space travel, as in people locked up together having to live in small enclosed spaces for a long period of time while we finally moved out and started colonizing outer worlds. So moving forward, when they were kind of designing the vaults at the end and then, talking about experiments and things they were doing, it was all kind of under the idea of how to help people like live together and survive for space travel using people as guinea pigs.
Wow, yeah, that's pretty brilliant.
Yeah, I thought it was really neat because I'd heard that as a rumor, but I don't think I'd ever heard him say that before. And in this video, he goes into depth on it. And when I saw PC Mag and stuff picked it up, I'm like, yeah, that's really cool. So that's kind of what turned me on to the fact he was doing this.
Very cool.
Well worth checking out.
So it's going to turn out that we're going to go to a vault at the end of the game, and then all of a sudden we're going to have this big rumble, and then our vault's going to sprout wings and blast off into the fucking space. Come on.
That would be awesome.
That's the connection to Starfield, right? It's all one word. That is one question we need to bring up. What Fallout reference are we going to see in Starfield? There's.
Oh my goodness gracious, you guys! So not that I'm a lore nerd about Starfield yet or anything like that, but if I remember correctly,
what are you? Yes, you are.
I think Starfield's taking place around like 2310, 2315 or so. So that's only going to be like 30 years after the events of Fallout 4. So I don't think we're getting into space.
We're going into space, right, Ray?
Absolutely.
Well, I was having a long conversation after our camp stream last night with some friends about, No Man's Sky and how, people who play a lot of No Man's Sky, how that will compare to Starfield. And will it spoil it for them a bit with how big and amazing No Man's Sky is, how much they've added over the years. And I mean, if you do compare Starfield to a game that's been out for as long as No Man's Sky with everything they've added, all the systems, it may be lacking. Although, to be honest, in my mind, I think, at least Bethesda-wise, it's going to compare and just be different. But do you have any thoughts on that, Ray? Like, is that something that's come up in your discussions?
Not really, because they're so dramatically different. They're going to be different kinds of games. Mm-hmm. You don't join factions technically in No Man's Sky. And you don't really converse with a lot of NPCs in the game. It's just not that kind of game.
Right. They've added story, but it's really just kind of a framing, right? It's not like you're doing a whole lot of quests for people with interaction and multi-part things.
Yeah. I mean, there's a few threads of things, but it's just not the same as a Bethesda game.
I have to wonder on the planets, because that's one thing people worry about. Admittedly, there's infinite procedurally generated planets in No Man's Sky. And in Starfield, there's going to be, over 1,000, as they've said, planets and moons and all that, which have been partly procedurally generated, partly hand-created. Do you think these Starfield planets might be too empty? Is that a concern you have too, like some people, or?
No, I mean that's like say is the Commonwealth too empty?
Definitely not. It's crowded as heck.
Every 100 paces.
That was kind of the knock on New Vegas, but really, if you think about it, there was always something going on in New Vegas.
Yeah, I just have to wonder how large the planetary landmass will be. Like, will it be the equivalent of, like 10 Skyrim maps? Like, I can picture a lot of empty space, but at the same time, there should be enough there. Maybe not on all parts of the map, but on the area, where you would actually go around cities. So if you're going to go into like the empty area, that's up to you. that might be your choice to go to the empty areas, but you certainly don't have
Yeah.
to. The way I picture it,
space is supposed to have some
emptiness,
emptiness.
I mean,
some
that's what
desolation.
It is. It's a void. Come on.
Yeah.
And it's simple enough to solve in Starfield. The best way to discourage people from wandering around too much is just make everything kill you.
Yeah, there's that too. There's that too. It could be really dangerous out there. I knew you guys would have a good perspective solution, because this is one of the questions I see most often. Like, is it going to be too empty? What are they going to put on all these planets? And in my mind, there will be plenty to do, and yet there's plenty of area to explore if you want to, but it's not necessary. You're not necessarily going to be landing empty areas. I think at most, like the areas that you wouldn't go to unless you really want to go exploring would be as empty as, say, like the tundra outside of Whiterun. Like, we all know what that feels like when you're wandering. Maybe you see a lonely mammoth. Maybe you see like some redoubt up there, like Redoran Redoubt or whatever it is. But there's not that much there. But it's not empty, And I think that most planets will probably feel like that outside of the main cities. Unless you get to the area, where it's truly, truly open. But we don't even know how big they're going to be. Like, a planet is big, right? But I just don't know how big.
Yeah. I mean, if you want a really crowded game, play Cyberpunk.
If you were to run around a planet in No Man's Sky, could you start at one point and do a complete loop around the planet on foot? Is that possible?
It is possible, yep.
How long does it take? Do you know?
I just watched a video of a kid that did it. And it took him 4 days.
4 literal days or 4 in-game days?
No, 4 literal days.
Did he sleep?
Yes.
Okay, good. Oh my goodness. Wow. That's amazing to think about. Okay, so that's 20, 48, 96 hours. That is large. So I don't know if Starfield World will be that large, but maybe they will, because, I don't know. I'm curious. I can't wait. We got 30 days, by the way. People are counting, keeping track. 30 days until the Starfield Direct now. We are within 1 month of the Starfield Direct, where we're going to see a lot more info. So exciting.
The biggest piece of info is, pushed off till Q1 2024. Oh.
When I did the calendar, I almost marked the last episode of the season. I almost marked it Starfield Feed
Day.
Episode 1.
Right. Right. Well, this episode is slowly turning into the Starfield Roundtable.
Well, we're ready to wrap up and do our little community shout-outs, I think. I just wanted to get through those to go on a bit.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Jess. So let's go ahead and send a congratulatory exclamation to the following people who have reached their end destination on that terrible chore board. Bruce, thank you so much for your feedback tonight, and congratulations on your scorecation.
Scorecation!
Also, TyRell, rolling into scorecation in style.
Scorecation!
And who's this last person? I think we kind of shouted out earlier, but Jess? Wow.
She doesn't need it again, but she's happy.
Let's do it anyway.
Scorecation!
Mo loves it when people get to scorecation, especially Jess. Good job, Jess.
Thank you.
All right, you guys, have anything else you'd like to cover tonight? Because I don't think we've done enough. How about 4 or 5 more feedbacks? And...
Our friends did it for us. No, we're good. We're good.
All right. And in that case, you can find him and all of his No Man's Sky needs over there at BBCISSS for the Butcher, Baker, and Candlemaker in Space show. And he is at RayLB for his personal account. Ray, thank you so much.
Good times. We should have an episode popping pretty quick.
Great. Check your pod catchers for the next episode of Butcher, Baker, and Candlemaker. And you can find her at You Wastelanders for all your Fallout building needs. Also at Dames Who Game and at Sleep Is For Tea. Jess, thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great day, everyone.
I can be found at Indie Android, and the show is at The Fallout Feed. I'd like to thank everyone for their amazing feedback, and everyone for downloading this edition of The Fallout Feed. We will see you in the Wasteland.
Thank you for downloading this episode of the Fallout Feed Roundtable. If you are interested in doing a play-along character with us, the show can be contacted by emailing
falloutroundtable@gmail.com. For the Roundtable schedule, our Amazon link, and all other show information, please head on over to asapodcasting.com, where you will find the Fallout feed, a Skyrimatic podcast, our YouTube channel, the Chatterbox, as well as other content. Once again, thank you for downloading, and we'll see you in the wasteland.
I just don't know how big.
Having a blast. I was right at that point of no return.
Her buttocks are ass.
Outside of her unit.
The diseases are a pain in the ass. I've given my blood.
A lot of issues with diseases. Some people suck.
One decent unit. Disappointed, but not throwing in the towel. BRB.
It bit me.
I keep getting punked by mole rats. I have no money. I have no resources. Skill with tools.
And it's kind of obnoxious, but I'm enjoying it.
Get played like a vuvuzela. She goes down and battles the beast.
Doing her bit for the country, on the condition that they return the favours when needed.
Where it got a whole lot more difficult.
I got a little cocky.
I hope this doesn't become a thing.
Playing by myself.
Bing, bang, boom. Oh, I do not know if I can do that. Poke all the bears. They just keep coming. If you're curious like a cat, like I like to do,